Bolo juice mixed with a little ginger. Oh girl, I wanna be with you, but you know they got enough time for me. I wanna live with you. I got the reason why I can't let go. Girl, you never know, so you come pass up. Man, them so far to find your love. Girl, you never know, so you come pass up. Man, them so far to find your love. Girl, you never know, so you come pass up. Man, them so far to find your love. Girl, you never know, so you come pass up. Man, them so.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our other session known as Digital Kirimo Roundtable. Before introducing myself, allow me to call my panelists for today. Miss Brenda Moses Kilero, a geospatial analyst, a drone pilot, and technical staff from Arith University. You're welcome. Mrs. Rhoda McGregor, CEO from One Hour Africa and Kirimo Roundtable. You're welcome. Hudenberg, a director of finance at Kimamba Fibers, the one that owns a sisal plantation in Morogoro. You're welcome. Elizabeth Swai, CEO, ACAM, Glutas Limited, and founder of Voice of Agriculture TV. You're welcome. Well, then love, excuse me. Pole, mtusamee kidogo, tumekuwa na technical issue kidogo. Okay, I'll then start to introduce myself. I think kuna kitu kinabidi kiwe displayed, wataweka watu wa technical wanashughulikia. My name is Peace Magere. I work as an economist at ICT Commission, but also I've worked with Uchumi Institute of Policy and Social Research for some number of years, but I'm also a director of youth initiatives at Kirimo Roundtable Africa. Apart from being an economist by professional, I'm also a large-scale farmer, whereby I own a farm of 300 acres at Manyara, a village known as Maweni, but I also own some acres at Morogoro, a place known as Dakar. So I'll shortly start by giving few examples on how I've applied technology in agriculture. I have 8 years of experience in agriculture. Then I'll also lay a foundation concerning our Tanzania Development Vision 2050, but please allow me to use both languages for the sake of my audience too, and other people that are live, especially wakulima. Binafsi, kwenye shamba langu la Manyara la 300 acres, teknolojia niliitumia kwenye haya mambo ambayo kila siku tunasoma, the use of modern equipment. 300 acres, wakati namaliza kupima shamba ili waanze kulima, ilikuwa inanigharimu muda mrefu kidogo. Manual labor ambayo nilikuwa natakiwa niweke pale ilikuwa ni vijana 100 mpaka 120. Lakini teknolojia ikanisaidia, badala yake nikatumia modern tractor, badala ya kuweka vijana 100 mpaka 120 ambao wao wangelima kwa miezi 2 mpaka 3. Tractor ikanilimia kwa wiki 3. So teknolojia ilinisaidia, kwanza nilisave time, kwa sababu kwa kipindi pia nilikuwa nasoma masters, inabidi uwepo Dar es Salaam, nilikuwa Mzumbe, lakini pia ukisikia kuna kitu shambani uende shamba. Kwa hiyo I had to look on how I can balance both of them. Lakini pia nilitumia teknolojia ya drones kwenye kipindi cha palizi, ambapo nilikuwa namwagilia mtama wangu ili usishambuliwe na wadudu. Lakini uzuri, hii dawa ilikuwa ni booster pia. Ilinisaidia kupata mazao mengi zaidi. Badala ya kupata gunia 7 mpaka 10 kwa eka, nilivyopuliza dawa kwa kutumia drones, mwishoni nilishia kupata mwishoni nilishia kupata gunia 17 mpaka 20. On the screens mtaona baadhi ya picha zikionyesha miaka tofauti tofauti ambayo nimekuwa nikifanya. So kabla ya kuwasikiliza panelist wetu, naomba nilay foundation. Mimi sina presentation, lakini nitalay foundation kuhusiana na theme yetu ya Prospectus of Dira 2050. Tunapoongelea dira yetu ya maendeleo ya taifa, ina core values 3. Lakini the part I love the most, ile key implementation driver, ndo digital transformation yenyewe. Kwa hiyo ukinisikiliza vizuri, hizi zote 3 ni digital transformation in cross-cutting, inakuwa applied kote. Pila ya kwanza ni strong, inclusive and competitive economy. As we know, agriculture remains to be the backbone of the economy, whereas it contributes 26.7% of GDP, and exports, it contributes 24 to 30, whereas 54% are women that are engaged in agriculture, while 65% of Tanzanians are engaged in agriculture. Sasa, leo tutakachoenda kusikia kikubwa ni kwa namna gani kwenye agriculture tunaweza kutumia teknolojia kufikia malengo ya dira yetu. Dira inataka tuwe na uchumi au taifa ambao ni shindani, tunaweza vipi kucompete na mataifa mengine. Ukiangalia kwenye dira wanasema target yetu tufikie dola za Kimarekani trilioni 1. Lakini pale watu wanasahau pia wanataka angalau kila Mtanzania awe na wastani wa dola za Kimarekani 7,000 kwa mwaka. So I'll also make a reality, ninapoongelea agriculture throughout, simaanishi tu kilimo mazao, lakini agriculture ina uvuvi, ina mifugo na ina forest. Naweza nikatoa mfano mchache wa teknolojia kwenye mifugo na uvuvi kabla ya kuendelea kwa ajili ya kuwasaidia. Kwenye eneo la uvuvi sasa hivi tuna teknolojia ambayo ukiweka kifaa ndani ya maji kinakusaidia kupima usalama wa maji, hivyo tunaweza kujua samaki atakayekuwa kwenye hayo mazingira atakuwa na hali gani? Je, atakuwa vizuri au atadumaa? Lakini pia teknolojia kwenye eneo la uvuvi, tunaona tuna electronic boats. Inamsaidia sasa hivi mvuvi badala atumie ule mtumbwi aende umbali mrefu, electronic boats zinamsaidia, anaenda tu ndani ya muda mfupi anakuwa amerudi. Lakini pia tuna GPS boats. Hizi zinatusaidia hasa vijana ambao kwenye kilimo hatutaki jembe, tunataka vitu virahisi. Inatusaidia ile GPS boat, ukienda nayo baharini, ukiweka inakuonyesha samaki yuko wapi. Lakini kwenye mifugo teknolojia imetusaidia, tunazo tools ambazo hizi tools zinatusaidia kujua afya ya mnyama au kama mnyama amepata shida yoyote. Hizi tools zinafanya diagnosis ya mnyama, then yale majibu yanapelekwa kwenye system, ambayo hii system itakuja kumsaidia vet officer ku make decision na kujua, je, huyu mnyama alikuwa anasumbuliwa na nini, au je, mnyama amepata ujauzito, na kama ni ujauzito ni wa muda gani. Kwa hiyo haya yote tunayaona yakifanyika kwenye kilimo. Bado tuko kwenye pila yetu ya kwanza, strong, inclusive and competitive economy. Lakini pia ndani yake tunaona taifa ina jukumu kubwa la ku-eradicate poverty. Sasa ngoja niwaambie, kilimo ndio sekta pekee ambayo tukitumia teknolojia vizuri ina uwezo wa kuondoa umaskini mara 2 zaidi kuliko sekta yoyote Tanzania. Ukienda kwenye Agricultural Master Plan utaona target ambayo tumejiwekea by 2050, tunataka to increase export na level ya production at least 10%. Lakini pia tuna point nyingine ya Tanzania Feeding Africa. Tunataka tuwe mzalishaji mkuu wa chakula, lakini hatuishii hapo. Kuna kitu tukisoma tunasahau. We want to be among the top 10 best countries globally. Kwa hiyo tuna jukumu kubwa la kufanya. Na point yangu ya pili au pila ya pili ni human capabilities. Kwenye agriculture sasa hivi tunaona kuna so many digital jobs. Mimi binafsi ni mkulima, nilisema ukienda kwenye social media yangu nimejaribu kwa kiasi kikubwa sana kuhakikisha naweza kumotivate vijana wenzangu au wanawake wenzangu kujiengage kwenye agriculture. Na nimefanikiwa hilo. Nina followers ya zaidi 78,000 vijana. Na kila siku nina vijana wengi nakutana nao kwa ajili ya consultation na ninawasaidia. Ukifungua page yangu hautakuta kitu chochote mbali na kilimo na teknolojia. Lakini pia nimeanzisha master classes kupitia Kilimo Roundtable Youth, ambazo huwa tunawasaidia watu kujua hivi hii simu ambayo unakaa nayo unawezaje kuitumia ukapata hela. Mheshimiwa Mzee Kilenga kwenye miongoni mwa mikutano yetu mikubwa ya wadau wa kilimo ambayo tulifanya mwaka jana, alisema kama kuna kitu anatamani ni kama ambavyo vitu vingine vina trend kwenye mitandao ambavyo havina msingi, basi agriculture ianze kutrend. Kama ananiangalia basi mimi nimekuwa implementer wa huo ushauri wake. Point yetu ya 3 ni environmental integrity na climate resilience. Hapa tunaona ni kwa namna gani tunaweza kukabiliana na mabadiliko ya tabia ya nchi. Nitatoa mfano tu mdogo haraka. Tunaye member mwanamke ambaye yeye anapeleka spices Kenya. Anachokifanya 2 weeks ago nilikuwa shambani kwake Morogoro na kwenye kiwanda chake. Anachokifanya amefunga dryers. Hii ni teknolojia kabisa. Amefunga dryers, anakausha zile spices zake, kwa hiyo ana uwezo wa kumeet demand ambayo anatakiwa kumeet kila wiki. So pia tumeona teknolojia kwenye issues za irrigation schemes. Mimi shamba langu la Morogoro ninatumia irrigation schemes ambayo sasa inanisaidia ule mpunga badala ya kulima season 1 nina uwezo wa kulima season 2. Lakini inanisaidiaje? Kumbuka tunataka increase productivity kwenye dealer, si ndio? Kwa hiyo nikishalima mara mbili tutapata food security, si ndio? Lakini nitaweza kuincrease export. Nirudi kama mchumi. Tukiincrease export, nini kitatokea? Foreign currency yetu itatokea. Kwa hiyo itatusaidia sisi kufika kule ambapo dira yetu ya taifa inataka tufike. And finally, this is the part that I love the most, ambayo ni digital transformation. Sasa hii ndo ina push hizi zingine zote. So with this, I'll now give an opportunity kwa panelists wetu tuwasikilize, kila mmoja atuambie ni kwa namna gani ana apply digital solution kwenye eneo lake. Beginning with Miss Brenda Kilevo, a geospatial analyst. Naomba tuambie kwenye lower value chain ni namna gani teknolojia yako inakusaidia kupima udongo ili tujue afya ya udongo. Ni kwa namna gani teknolojia yako inakusaidia kujua afya ya mmea. Lakini pia tunatamani kujua ni kwa namna gani teknolojia yako inaweza kuforecast, kwamba ikatuambia huu udongo tukilima hapa tutapata mazao kadhaa. Karibu Brenda.
Asante sana, Miss Peace. Good afternoon, everyone. As per the introduction, I'd like to go straight to the question. First, I apply the technology called remote sensing and geographical information system. And basically, we term it as a geospatial technology that employs the use of drone technology together with satellite technology. So how we use this technology in impacting agriculture, I would like to start by giving an example. Have you ever thought of a farmer who has, say, 1,000 acres of land and is trying to figure out how to get started as a farmer? So as usual, people will just use the available data from people around that area and just decide to plant maybe maize just because others are doing the same thing. But in actual sense, you could use this kind of technology so as to get to know how your land can be utilized effectively and to know what crops to plant specifically on that area. And this is achieved by, for example, if it's the use of drone technology, we have drones that have sensors. For example, there's a drone that carries a multispectral sensor. This is a kind of sensor that has beyond the red, green, and blue light. So it goes beyond the color that we can't see by our naked eyes. So by this ability of this sensor, the drone can get information of the nature of the crops and get to tell you how the health of the crop is. So you can use this technology to check the health of the vegetation. And this is a process which is called normalized difference vegetation index, and many more other indices that can be used by using this sensor that is equipped in a drone. But this kind of data is not acquired only by drones. It can be acquired by satellite images also. And it is data that is bought so that you can do this process. So how we employ this technology is through the use of specialized softwares that involve analysis and the use of this information to now advise the farmer exactly what he can grow and where he can, let's say, place boreholes, because it can help us as geospatial analysts derive things like drainage maps. A drainage map is a map that can help you know where water flows in an area. So having such kind of information will even prevent you further with issues like soil erosion or flood risk, because you would already know the area where you are planning to farm, which is suitable to grow crops and which one is better off drilling boreholes so that you can get water. So eventually, through the use of this technology, first you reduce unnecessary costs in perhaps drilling in areas where you wouldn't find water closer. So this technology gets you to the exact area where you could drill and actually find water at a closer location, but also you'll get to know through the suitability analysis which crops you can grow in your area depending with the soil type, depending with the amount of moisture available. So this gives the farmer a very important information to make decision on what crops to grow, so that in the end of the production stage, he or she can get the highest yield from the crops. Another thing we can as well get from this technology is issues like soil monitoring. We have another sensor in drones that is called hyperspectral sensor. This is also a sensor that can acquire data that even goes beyond checking deficiency in the soil. So you can know if I have a deficiency of potassium, of phosphorus, or any important content or nutrients that is important for the crops. So this will give you the information to know what inputs you'll be required to put in your farm so that you can favor the condition of growing that specific crop. Another functionality of this technology is spraying. So we have agricultural inputs. It can be fertilizer or pesticides. So there are drones as well that are able to help in the process of spraying chemicals. And this avoids the farmer from risks like exposure to those chemicals. This prevents blanket spraying, which is one among the things may cost the farmer because he will be using high amounts of fertilizer unnecessarily, because spraying manually can make a lot of loss while spraying. But as well, even when someone is doing large-scale farming and is using boom sprayers, maybe say from the tractors, the intelligent tractors, it could reduce the risk of you losing a lot of chemicals, because from the geospatial analysis angle, we give the farmer field maps that from that map, for example, the index I mentioned before, the normalized vegetation, difference vegetation index, it can give us a field map that you feed in on your tractors or on your drone that is used for spraying the agri inputs. So if you feed the map, the device itself can spray on the areas that have been mapped with health deficiency. So this automatically reduces the amount of chemicals that the farmer could have used in the whole farm, and you'll just use on that specific area that has been affected. So eventually this will reduce the amount of agricultural inputs used. The same applies to irrigation. You can get to know through topographical surveys, you can get to know where to put irrigation systems. We can use this technology to detect crop water stress. Crop water stress means you know if there is less moisture in that area, so you prioritize to put irrigation systems on that area. So I think by this short discussion, you have seen how this technology has given more simplification in achieving high yield, thus achieving our Vision 2050.
Thank you, Brenda.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'll now love to welcome a very powerful young, she's not a young woman, hapo katikati, mama mdada. Okay, this is Ms. Rhoda Magoiga, a CEO of Mwana Africa and Kilimo Roundtable Africa. And well, Mwana Africa is one among the leading agro-inputs agro-inputs company ambayo hadi sasa imeweza kuwafikia wakulima takriban 120,000 na agro dealers 800 hapa Tanzania. So ukiwa kama mnufaika wa tulichosikia kwa Brenda, CEO wa Mwana Africa na Kilimo Roundtable, naomba utuambie ni kwa namna gani sasa teknolojia imekusaidia kwenye shughuli zako za kila siku. Karibu.
Asante sana Pisi Magere, na nashukuru Brenda kwa kuwa na hiyo suluhisho. Kwetu sisi kama wasambazaji wa mbolea, nitapenda kutumia lugha ya Kiswahili ili wakulima wenzangu wana Manyere waweze kunisikia.
Ni sawa kabisa.
Sisi watumiaji wa teknolojia, kwanza inatupa urahisi wa kufanya maamuzi, kujua ni mbolea gani tumike. Kwa hiyo pia inaturahisishia wakati wa kupanga bajeti yetu. Tunapotumia mbolea chini ya kiwango, tunazalisha chini ya kiwango. Na kama tunatembea na dira yetu ya 2050, Tanzania kuwa kapu la chakula na kulisha Afrika, lazima tufanye kilimo tija ambacho kitazalisha eneo dogo lakini tunazalisha kiwango kikubwa ili tuweze kuwa washindani sokoni. Kwa sababu sasa hivi tumejiunga kwenye soko huru la Afrika. Kwa hiyo tunapozalisha kwenye hekari moja magunia labda 20, tunaweza tukalazimisha kuuza kwa shilingi 700 kwa kilo badala ya kuuza kwa shilingi 250 kama nchi zingine zinavyofanya. Kwa hiyo hatuwezi kufanya kilimo tija pasipokuwa na taarifa sahihi. Lakini pia inatusaidia kupanga bajeti, lakini eneo jingine inalotusaidia ni kuweza kuwaleta vijana kwenye kilimo, kwa sababu vijana wanapenda sana teknolojia, hawapendi sana kufanya kama sisi watu wa zamani tunaotumia mikono. Kwa hiyo kwenye uzoefu wangu wa miongo miwili, miaka 25 nikihudumia wakulima, nimeona vijana wakiwa wanarudi nyuma kidogo kwenye swala la kilimo, lakini baada ya hizi teknolojia kuja tumeona wanakuwa sehemu ya teknolojia. Lakini si hilo tu, mimi pia natumia mfumo ambao unaitwa inventory system ambao unafanya monitoring ya stock movement, lakini daily sales report ninaweza kuipata hapa kiganjani pasipo kwenda kule na mtumbo. Kwa hiyo unaona namna gani mifumo inavyoturahisishia sisi kufanya maamuzi. Mtu wa logistic anajua kituo kipi kimepungukiwa mzigo na kuweza kurufili kwa wakati. Lakini pia mimi kama msambazaji wa mbolea, kuna mfumo ulioundwa na vijana wa Kitanzania wanaoitwa BizTech, ambao huo mfumo umeaminiwa na serikali na mamlaka ya mbolea umeuchukua na kuusajili, na sasa unatumika katika zoezi la usambazaji wa ruzuku. Huu mfumo ni salama kwa sababu tunapotumia sisi lazima urudishe OTP kwa mkulima. Akikupa ile OTP ndio unaweza kuruhusu kutoa mbolea kwenye system. Lakini pia huu mfumo umepata tuzo ya Afrika Mashariki, Afrika nzima tumekuwa washindi 3 ikiongozwa na South Africa ama Nigeria. Kwa hiyo vijana wa Kitanzania kama wanaweza kudevelop mfumo ambayo inaaminiwa na serikali, hicho kwetu tunaona ni kitu kizuri. Lakini mfumo huu una capture data kutoka poti mpaka mkulima wa kule na Manyere anayetumia mbolea. Tunaona ana hekari ngapi, lakini pia amesajiliwa katika kata gani na kijiji gani. Kwa hiyo mifumo inatusaidia sana kurahisisha masuala. Kwa hiyo mimi nikienda benki sina haja ya kubeba makaratasi mengi. Kwa hiyo ni paperless na sina haja ya kujielezea sana napokwenda benki, kwa sababu mfumo wenyewe unaonesha ni kiasi gani turnover iko, lakini nimeuza tani ngapi, lakini nimefikia wakulima wangapi? Kwa hiyo data unazozitaja ziko kiganjani, lakini pia supplier wanatuamini. Tukienda huko hatuna haja ya kuzungumza sana, mfumo unajielezea. Kwa hiyo tunakuza biashara yetu. Kwa hiyo mfumo ni kitu muhimu sana kwa sisi ambao tuko kwenye tasnia ya kilimo, lakini kumbuka wakati tumekosa mtandao ilibidi shughuli zetu zisimame kidogo. Kwa hiyo na sisi watu wa kilimo hatuko mbali kwenye kutumia mifumo kuendana na wakati. Lakini niseme tu kwamba sasa baada ya kupata taarifa zote hizi, hatuishii tu kuuza mbolea Madam Pisi. Tukasema ni vizuri kuwapa taarifa watu tunaowahudumia kila siku. Ndipo tukaja na wazo la Kilimo Roundtable Africa. Ni taasisi ya wadau, ni taasisi ya Watanzania iliyoanzishwa na Watanzania, lakini inaleta wadau wa kilimo meza moja. Tunakuwa na mabenki ambao ni enabler, tunakuwa na serikali ambao ni watoa maamuzi, lakini tunakuwa na watunga sera ambao wanaweza kutusaidia mambo ya policy na kubadilisha yale ambayo yanaweza kufavor tasnia ya kilimo kukua na kuletea matokeo, kwa sababu wote tunatembea na dira 2050, wote tukisapoti kuzalisha bilioni 100 ndio jukumu tuliopewa kama sekta ya kilimo. Lakini tumeambiwa mazao yatokanayo na kilimo tukiyasafirisha tupe bilioni 20. Kwa hiyo sio kazi ndogo, na sisi wote tunahakikisha kufikia hapo. Sasa tunawezaje kufika hapo? Ndio maana Kilimo Roundtable tukikaa mezani tunaweza kujadili masuala ya production, lakini tunaweza kujadili masuala ya usafirishaji, masuala ya infrastructure kwenye agriculture value chain. Tunataka cold room, lakini lazima tuwe na mtu wa usafiri, tuwe na watu wa wekezaji kutoka nje, lakini pia teknolojia hatuwezi kuiepuka hapo. Kama tunataka kufanya storage za kisasa, kama tunataka kufanya huo usafiri, lazima kila kitu mwelekeo wetu uwe kiganjani. Kwa hiyo tunaposema kijana na kwenye kilimo, tunataka wazee wa miaka 65 ambao ndio wanaonekana ndio wakulima wa Tanzania waweze kupisha kidogo vijana, na sio kupisha. Sisi ni ngumu sana kuadapti matumizi ya teknolojia, lakini unapotuletea kijana ni rahisi kutufundisha hiyo mifumo, lakini kuintegrate hiyo mifumo na kujifunza nchi nyingine wanafanya nini. Kwa hiyo tunatamani kijana awe kwenye safari ya kilimo, kuhakikisha tunakuwa kapu la chakula, lakini kuhakikisha tunaleta mapinduzi kwenye sekta ya kilimo. Hatuamini kama mzee wa miaka 65 anaweza kulisha Afrika, lakini soko huru linapoanza kazi tunaona hatuwezi kufika kama vijana hawataamua kufunga mikanda na kuwa sehemu ya mabadiliko haya ya sekta ya kilimo. Kwa hiyo kwa kifupi ni hayo, na hiyo ndio kazi ya Kilimo Roundtable.
Asante sana CEO wa Mwana wa Afrika na Kilimo Roundtable. Tuna dakika chache, panelist wangu kila mtu ana dakika 5. For now, I would love to welcome Ms. Huda Mbarak, a Director of Finance at Kimamba Fibers, whereas she owns a sisal plantation in Morogoro and works as a large-scale farmer. Tayari naomba utusaidie kutuambia kwenye hapa value chain, ukiwa kama large-scale farmer, ni namna gani teknolojia imeweza kukunufaisha? Karibu.
Asante. I grew up in Kilosa, Morogoro, and for us, agriculture isn't a sector. It's a way of life. It's community, it's resilience. So in New Kimamba Fibers, we are mainly sisal processing manufacturing. But along that, we also grow food crops to feed the staff in the village. And with that, I have witnessed over the years the growth in youth and women in the fields and the farms, owning land and having access to technology. Yet we still have quite a distance to catch up. For us, we use tractors, softwares to help us improve our day-to-day. But I am going to also say that as 65% of Tanzanians are farmers, there is still lack of data on who the farmers are, what crops they're farming, and that lack of is what the gap needs to be filled. So access to more technology, not only for large scales, but also small scales is needed. And I appreciate the other two panelists who are also contributing in filling those gaps. We still are lagging behind because of the small farmers. For the larger companies, it's easier to have access to drones and measure soil, fertilities, and have fertilizers. But for the small farmers, we still have a lot to catch up on. We use drones for security and for soil. We use tractors, we use softwares. So there is a lot that can be used, but I feel like the data still needs to be catching up in the farmers, and also post-harvest needs to be looked at. So what happens to fields that get, the farmers that get maize, for example, is a good one that we make, that we grow. But after that, the storage or the post-harvest is still not perfected. There is still there. Thank you.
Thank you. Now to my last panelist. Thank you, audience. Ms. Elizabeth Swire, CEO AKM Glitters Limited and a founder of Voice of Agriculture TV. Well, I would love you to tell us ni namna gani umetumia digital platforms kusaidia wanawake, vijana, lakini taifa kwa ujumla ku-access market, lakini pia ku-access mikopo, hasa kwa vijana ambao swala la mtaji imekuwa ni kilio kikubwa sana kwetu. Karibu.
Asante. Mimi ni mkurugenzi wa kampuni inaitwa ICT Glitters Company Limited. Ndani ya hiyo kampuni tuna subsidiary companies 5 ambazo kuna farm inputs, microfinance, contract farming and aggregation, feed mill operation, poultry production, meaning chicks, production of day-old chicks. Now, ukiangalia jinsi kampuni imekuwa set, it is very integrated. And when you're speaking about kilimo, you're talking about numbers. You're talking about numbers of youth. You're talking about numbers of smallholder farmers. You're talking numbers of metric tons of production. For example, our feed mill produces 220 metric tons every day. That means it's a lot of numbers, and we are aggregating between 10 to 20,000 metric tons of maize and soya from smallholder farmers. At the moment, working with 5,500 smallholder farmers, 12,000 youth, and 11,000 naturalized refugees kwenye refugee settlements. Now you're talking of numbers. Once you're talking of numbers, that means data and statistics is involved, and you cannot do it manually. You have to use the systems or platforms. So we have a farmer platform, and we also have an enterprise management system for the aggregation part, where we have to track and follow up on procurement of maize and soya from smallholder farmers to our feed mill, and from our feed mill to our youth and women and other smallholder farmers. I had to give this background because when we are talking about agriculture, it's numbers of acres, numbers of inputs, and hence we have to have a very structured digital tracking mechanism so that we are very safe in terms of the stocks and also follow-ups with the side selling from the farmers. Equipment we use includes, like everybody else, we use drones, we use drones we use for GPS location and tracking of smallholder farmers and also poultry houses. We also track trees for environmental protection. Each youth is supposed to plant four trees, and we also track them using the GPS code. We work with Voice of Agriculture Media, where we only hire youth. We are trying to change the mindset of youth from entertainment into agriculture because we are missing them in agriculture. Most of journalists are old, and we need youth in that space. So we are engaging youth, and we are engaging youth in terms of data collection, documenting, innovation, like showcasing the works that we do and also the works that other smallholder farmers and youth are doing. But we also use we also have some devices that we track. We track, for example, humidity in poultry houses. We track temperature. We also sense in case there are diseases in the poultry houses. So we have a lot of systems that we are using, and also a lot of equipment that we are using. My plea to you all today is that we need IT Tanzania to feature more into agribusiness. For example, we are looking at professionals with ICT knowledge in monitoring and evaluation, developing some of the platforms that we can use there locally. We also need workers in marketing with IT knowledge. So agriculture needs you guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Can you give a clap to my panelists? So wametusaidia kidogo kuona kwenye lower value chain na upper value chain nini kinaendelea. Well, I would love ingekuwa ni interactive, lakini because of time, we all know we are beyond time, tumechelewa kidogo. Naomba niwaalike kesho tutakuwa tuna digital kilimo for youth. Kama kutakuwa kuna maswali yoyote kuhusiana na panelist wetu, basi iko link nadhani ya ICT Commission. Hayo maswali yaandikwe huko, tutayajibu, lakini mnaweza kwenda kwenye social media pages zetu. Instagram, andika tu Kilimo Roundtable Africa, utatupata, au unaweza ukaandika Peace Robert, utanipata pia. Tutakujibu maswali yote. Kwa hiyo tunapokea maswali, lakini kwa sababu ya muda naomba maswali tuyaandike kwenye mfumo na tutayajibu yote. And as I close up, I would love to end up by saying wote tumeona ni namna gani teknolojia inatusaidia kwenye agriculture kama wakulima, kuanzia kwenye lower value chain. Tumesikia upimaji wa afya ya udongo, tumesikia afya ya mimea, lakini tumesikia hata kwenye upande wa matumizi ya mbolea, lakini pia tumesikia namna ambavyo teknolojia inatumika hata kwenye issue za data collection, kuforecast, lakini tumesikia hata kwa large scale farmers ambavyo inawasaidia wao pia ku access market. And before I wind up, kama hatufahamu, Tanzania tuna digital market ambayo inatusaidia sana wakulima, inaitwa TMX. Unaweza ukaandika tu hata Google iangalie, utaona vitu TMX inafanya. And so nimefika mwisho wa session yangu. I would love to thank Director General Dr. Mwasaga, Director General of ICT Commission, on behalf of Kilimo Roundtable and Uchumi Institute for allowing us to organize this session. Thank you.
Asante sana, Madam Peace Magere and the panelists for very insightful discussion. Asanteni sana. A round of applause to the moderating panelists, please. Asanteni sana. Let's take a picture quickly. Our next presentation is about women empowerment initiative in the digital economy. I would like to call on the stage Joshua Mwakalobo, Manager, Capital Building and Monitoring. Joshua Mwakalobo. Is Joshua here? Okay, karibu sana. We are running behind, so so with this series of presentations.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. You seem a little bit tired. May I require your attention, please? Kama sehemu ya zoezi na nilivyotambulishwa, mimi ni mwalimu pia. Naomba tusimame kwa sekunde moja ili wale tunaosinzia to stop kusinzia. Kama uko sawa na una utimamu wako wa mwili, basi nikuombe tusimame. Wote tusimame. Alafu naomba kila mmoja amuulize mwenzake, how was your day today? Nadhani kuna wachache ambao wamejibu, basi naomba mrejee kwenye nafasi zenu. May you take your seat, please? Asante. Kama nilivyotambulishwa, my name is Joshua Mwakalobo. I'm a manager, capacity building and monitoring from CRB Bank Foundation. So I'll start in a little bit overview of CRB Bank Foundation. But as far as our topic on the women initiative, empowerment on digital economy, so I'll definitely just take you through to everything that will be relating in a digital way. So everything that CRB Bank Foundation is doing it in relationship with digital financing or digital inclusions or digital development. So everything we are doing so that we can make sure that everything we are touching base in the community, we are making sure that we are touching youth and women's life. So going directly to the overview, the first slide, please. So I'll explain on the overview of CRDB Bank Foundation. I think some of you might be heard about CRDB Bank Foundation. CRDB Bank Foundation is among the 4 subsidiaries of CRDB Bank PLC. And now we are operating in Burundi, Congo, and we have CRDB Bank Insurance and the CSC. And the last we have CRDB Bank Foundation. So going directly, CRDB Bank Foundation is a registered organization that has worked on the impacting lives of people from financial and economically excluded communities. So definitely, as I said, that is a subsidiary. It was established in 2022, and I think officially it was launched a product or a program known as Imbeyu on 23rd April. So SCBF at Grace. So we have a purpose, and one of our purpose, we are making sure that we are improving the livelihood and delivery sustainable impact. And our vision is to transform the lives and livelihood of underserved and vulnerable communities. And our mission is to promote inclusive growth for social, economic, and financial inclusions. And our aspiration is to be the most innovative and leading foundation in the market. So I'll jump to the next slide. That is our strategic focus. Our strategic focus for CBF is always promote the growth and sustainable livelihood to the marginalized and unserved groups and vulnerable by empowering women, youth, and smallholder and farmers under the overreaching goal of sustainable livelihood CBF focus. You might also bear with me to some of the panelists that were here before. Some of them, they are our customer. So some of them are part of our development journey. So we are making sure on those 3 pillars. That is, number 1 is entrepreneurship skill development and innovation. And the second one is on the financial literacy, digital and financial inclusions. And the third one is the partnership and collaboration. So we are not working together in order to make sure that we are reaching the more community and the more targets that we are aiming. We are making sure that we collaborate and we do partnership with other entities or NGOs that is working or that is doing some similar function that CRDB Bank Foundation does. On the sake of the program overview, among the components that have been mentioned before, that is capacity building, of which within we are making sure that we are doing a financial literacy. And I think some of you might be aware in our social media, we have been posting the same thing that we are doing for capacity building. And within we are doing financial literacy, we are doing entrepreneurship skills, but also we are doing mentorship to make sure that those small businesses, their voice is being heard and they get a full support from CRDB Bank Foundations. But in terms of coverage, definitely we are focusing on the youth, women, MSME, and marginalized community. Our sectorial interventions is basically on the accessing to capital through our Imbeyu accounts. So now I'll just brief on the Imbeyu account. This is specifically for the youth and women who are making sure that they put their effort in the business that they are doing. And to make sure that they develop, we have set a very special benefit to this bank account. And they'll be able to open with a very simple initial deposit of 10,000 and with no any charges or any monthly charges. But they will be able to operate in a digital way as SIM banking, mobile banking app, and they'll be able to transact wherever they'll be. So for the sake of soft loan, In the program overview within Imbeju, as I've mentioned earlier, that is focused on capacity building. And I said that we focus on financial literacy, entrepreneurship skills, mentorship, and in the end, we believe that these youth and women, they need to be enhanced. So we are doing, or we are financing these small businesses. So we have a soft loans, which goes up to US dollar 15,000 with the interest fee. And this is not the same interest we are calling in other normal convention loaning, or we are saying that it ranges between 6 to 9%. This is the commitment fee and a credit life insurance for a person who get these soft loans. And we are not considering some other conventional loaning features. For instance, nowadays we believe that any person to be eligible to lend from our CLB Bank Foundation supposed to have a business license, supposed to have a collateral. But for this one, it has been segmented to make sure that every women, every youth and women, their voice being heard and they get the full support and they'll be able to get these soft loans. So it's also a revolving fund. It is also a revolving fund. We are making sure that the moment we finance you, for instance, 5 million, definitely we are expecting that the same money should be refunded back and to be given to another youth and women who will be able to utilize the same from the working normal capital. So I said there's no collateral required, but it also in a form of digital inclusion. Okay, I think I'll just proceed. So within our program, basically we have make sure that we have segmented the same to make sure that every community is being reached, to make sure that every targeted audience is being reached. So we have segmented into different windows or different categories. So we have Imbeju Ngara, we have Imbeju Boni, we have Imbeju Partnership, we have Imbeju Diaspora, and we have Imbeju Skora, and we have Imbeju Kilimo. So this segment, we are making sure that if you are looking for a certain individual, definitely we should focus on some specific eligibility criteria that we'll be mentioning, that we'll be looking from the same individual that we are looking for. So I will start quick on so here are some of the pictorial testimonial from some of the women that we've been supporting, basically on financing. So mind you, through this presentation, our core function of CLB Bank Foundation is capacity building. And we are making sure that every woman is reached and every targeted audience that we are looking for is being reached by assuming that there are some people who are marginalized, they wish to get education, but some they lack to get education because of several reasons and challenges. But we are making sure that we coordinate, we organize a seminar specifically for the youth, and no one was supposed to pay, whether maybe for the interest. We are making sure that we train them on financial literacy, entrepreneurship skills, and in the end, for those who will be qualified, will get this financial support. So these were some of the pictorial as a testimony. So starting with this Imbeju Ngara, this is specifically designed for women entrepreneurs, and women saving groups. Before, in 2015, we used to have a microfinance bank where we used to provide seed capital or financing to groups, but it didn't work well. We came out and designed another one, which is Imbeju Ngara. Of course, as the tagline seems there, it is shine bright like a diamond. So definitely we are looking, we are supporting these youth and women on the segment, but specifically they are supposed to be in groups. So what we are offering in this program, we are making sure that we formalize and registering of these women groups. We believe that if you are working alone, you cannot move forward, and for the sake of development, definitely you won't be able to proceed, or you won't be able to develop more if you are working alone. So we are believing that if you be in a group and the group is well formalized, you'll be able to push through your businesses and everything will be the same. So the program also offer capacity building. It also offer financial and digital inclusions. This is through Imbeju account that has been tailor-made to fit the characteristics of these small businesses or small youth and women's businesses. So we link groups and their members to digital group management system. So currently, we are in the collaboration with IP Software, of whom they've designed a certain program. That is an application. They've designed an application that will enable women to formalize their groups. That will enable women and youth to make meeting, and the meeting will be recorded. And within that application platform, they'll be able to get a lot of learning. We'll be posting some of the content that will make sure that for them will be a part of benefit, and they will definitely develop. So we are making sure that the program also offer access to finance. For instance, this another one, which is micro health insurance. Of course, soon we are going to launch this one. So this is specifically on the Imbeju Ngara. We've put a certain ticket size for Imbeju Ngara. Of course, it ranges on 2 segments. Number 1 segment is the ticket size ranges between 200,000 to 5 million, with the interest or commitment fee of 7%. And the second mode is ranging between 5 million to 10 million. And the commitment fee is 80% compared, or quite different with this first window. The same amount we are requesting for the tenure to be repaid back with a period of 12 months, that is 1 year. And we are giving a very friendly mode of repayment to these youth and women, making sure that they will be able to repay it back without having any problem. And we are believing that we provide the full support in everything that these businesses is all a long way to go. So here is Imbeju Buni. I think as I've mentioned earlier, most of some have applied for this Imbeju Buni. So for Imbeju Buni, definitely we are focusing on youth business startup, but should be in an innovative way, or innovative enterprises. So with this, we are looking for, and the program includes the incubates and accelerate youth startup and innovative projects. Also, the program include implementing youth-ready innovative program with partners. We provide the training and mentorship and learning exposure. And lastly, they will have access to finance in any type of business that we'll be doing. And here, we have partnered with ICT, we have partnered with COSTECH, of whom they are making a full support to make sure that if these youth, they are falling under the criteria, they'll be able to apply through the website. And those websites will provide full clarifications on how they can be able to utilize the same loan. But for them only to submit the business plan and the IDs. And soon we are going to launch another second cohort. I think it will be on February. So pay your attention to our social media and to wait for that. For the sake of time, I won't be able to explain more about this one, but for the sake of the ticket size amount, it also ranges between 1 million to 30 million, and the same amount supposed to be repaid back for the period of 24 months or below than 24 months. But definitely the mode of repayment will depend on the nature of the business. So here is another wing of Imbeju. It's called Imbeju Boon. So this is specifically designed for Imbeju Kirimo, sorry. This is specifically designed only, and it's focused only for agricultural. And here, apart from the program, how it works, we are making sure that these businesses have have a full, completely market. And here we are doing a tripart agreement whereby we are interlinking MOU with the off-takers. We are making sure that the things or any product that will be harvested will get a market, and the farmer won't be able to get any problem once maybe they will be wanted to sell. So here we have partnered with some different partners. Among is TBL. We've partnered with some from seed. It was only dealing with the seeds. So here we are making sure that the farmer, the smallholding farmers, they'll be able to sell of what they'll be producing. So the program includes incubating and accelerating youth startup, innovative. So here we are dealing with only the formalizations, and also we are getting support from the AMCOS. And of course, we are working hard to make sure that we are doing the linkage with the logistical, storage, market extension service, as I've said before. And also we are making sure that there's a provision on the tailor-made financial solutions for those small holding farmers. And we are making sure that they will be providing a crop insurance of which it covers against the losses. Some of them you cannot determine whether the loss will happen or not. And the other one is we are making sure that the partnership with off-takers, it's providing the safety net covering post-harvesting when it comes to loss. So here is also another pictorial which shows some of the successful group. This was the group from Arusha. So apart of what we are doing, among the impacts, we have managed to reach more than 162,000 plus. This is women and youth digital financial included. We have managed also to reach more than 800,000. This is women and youth trained specifically on the entrepreneurship skills and financial literacy. And we have already reached directly 4,500 youth startup and innovative enterprises funded businesses. And for the sake of, we have managed to reach, among our impacts, we'll be able to enhance women and youth digital financial included. This was specifically on the financial included. And we have reached the 13,000 farmers, smallholding farmers, that has been trained on the financial literacy, management, and climate smart practices. And we have managed to reach youth startup attended an accelerations program. That was 801. This was for the first cohort that we launched the moment we launched our Imbeju program. So I said earlier that soon we are going to launch another cohort, definitely probably will be on February or before the end of February. So pay your attention to our social media. And it's better if you found and you have a good partner, just go and tell them that soon we are going to launch another cohort. I said earlier that we are not working together. We are working with the partners to make sure that we reach more target audience that we are looking for. Mind you, we have entered among our development partners, UNDP, GIZ, UNFPA, CARE International, ICAP, TWCC, and some other many more partners. But the government, our government is the main partners, or the first partners that we're working together with. So here also is among some of the pictorial, and of course we choose some only of whom we have entered MOU with them. So I'll skip some of the slides, and let me just go directly. Okay, so firstly and foremost, that was a little bit introductions on our CLB Bank Foundations in relationship to CLB Bank PLC as a subsidiary. So here is some issue that I will share with you, specifically on why this topic matters today. Our topic is on the women initiative in a digital, women empowerment initiative in a digital inclusion, a digital economy. So why this topic matters? We all understand, and I think you can also bear in mind with me that we cannot develop without using technology. We cannot be able to develop without using technology. Technology is part and parcel of our daily life. And I can even ask any questions. Is there anyone working early in the morning without touching your phone? Anyone? Could you be able to take even 30 minutes without touching your phone the moment you wake up? Anyone can raise a hand? 1 hour, 30 minutes, only 2, 3, 1 hour. For the benefit of others, I ask the question, unaweza ukaamka asubuhi na hujashika simu ndani ya lisali moja? Hakuna ambaye amenyosha katika swali hilo. So this tells us that we cannot live away or separate our normal daily life with technology. So today, when we are talking about women empowerment, we must also talk about the digital economy. So this is the way of business we operate, with the way we save, the way we borrow, the way we access markets has changed a lot. For women, especially those learning small and informal business, digital inclusion is becoming the differences between survival and growth. Stories are part of survival and growth. And another thing is women are active in economic players, not like the moment when we were young. Remember, we used to say that huyu ni mama wa nyumbani, but nowadays hayo maneno yalishakwisha muda mrefu. Sasa hivi ni mama mchapakazi. So we believe in that katika mchango mkubwa wa maendeleo ya kiuchumi hatuwezi kumwacha mwanamama. Jamani, akina mama jipigeni makofi basi. So we all believe that empowering women digital is not about technology alone. It's also about access, confidence, opportunity, and sustainability. We have seen some of the a very good example from the lately speaker or from the panelists before here. Mama alikuwa anajieleza anatumia teknolojia, of course tractor kwenye ekari zake 300. Huo ni mfano mzuri sana ambao sisi tunaonesha kwamba tukitumia teknolojia itatupeleka mbali. And of course pia SELF-RELIANT Foundation is working hard to make sure that it's supporting all businesses that is failing some of the criteria or some of the eligibility criteria. The door is open. Just visit our branches, visit our SELF-RELIANT branches, and ask for this specific window of Imbeju. You get support, whether financially, whether financial inclusions, whether mentorship. Tuwe huru kwenda kuuliza katika matawi yetu na tutapata support. So another thing, why women empowerment in the digital economy? So we all remember that despite some of the progress, women continue to face some of the barriers in accessing digital tools, financial services, and economic opportunities. We all believe. So SELF-RELIANT Foundation has come up with a very good program that is enable you, and you won't face any kind of problem the moment once you're approaching our doors. And I say that our doors is open, so you are welcome. We all believe that limited access to technology and internet, raw digital and financial redress, restricted access to finance, gender gaps in entrepreneurship and unemployment. So empowering women digitally, it enhances income generations and entrepreneurship, financial independence. So you'll be able to depend yourself if you are working with technology and you are making sure that technology is not lefting you behind. So here is our targeted beneficiary. So for men, I don't think that maybe we have left you behind. but this was only designed because of the same topic that I was supposed to speak about. So we focus on women entrepreneurship, entrepreneurs, young women. This is including student and startup, and I'm glad, and I saw some young students here. So you are all welcome to CRDB Bank to get educations. We are also targeting on women in informal and semi-formal sectors. And lastly, we are focusing on women groups, cooperative, and associations. Our expected outcomes is to increase access to digital and financial services for women, to improve digital and financial literacy levels, to make sure that we grow these women and women-led businesses, to make sure that we increase income and economic resilience, and to enhance participation of the women in the digital economy. Our goal for 2023, we are aiming at reaching 3 million. This is women, youth through capacity building and inclusions. We are aiming also at reaching 12,500. This is women, youth funded. And the average will also reach up to $10 million. That is the average funding per beneficiaries, and we are targeting to reach more than 2,200 beneficiaries. We are targeting also to reach smallholding farmer funded farmers 300,000. Also to acquire a micro health insurance for premium. And lastly, we are targeting to make sure that we'll be able to finance up to 100 million. So all of our goal specifically is all aligned with national development goals, and we believe that these initiatives support Tanzanian broader development agenda by contributing to financial inclusion strategy, digital transformation agenda, youth and women economic empowerment to prioritize sustainable development. This is SDGs. And the last one but not least, we all believe that women empowerment in the digital economy is not only on the social imperative, but also an economic necessity. So we believe through targeted capacity building, financial inclusions, and the digital solution, CRDB Bank Foundations will always remain committed and will remain committed to delivering a meaningful and measurable impact for women and youth across Tanzania. Together, we can build an inclusive digital economy in which women are empowered through a productive and financial independence. Thank you so much. Thank you for your attention. Good evening once again. Good afternoon once again. Oh, it's good evening.
Joshua, tunakushukuru sana kwa muda wako na kushirikiana nasi leo. Tumejifunza mengi kuhusu jitihada na mchango wa CRDB Foundation katika kukuza maendeleo ya kidijitali nchini Tanzania. Asante sana. We are now moved to a truly exciting presentation and demonstration, the power of innovation in addressing the real society challenges. My pleasure to introduce our next session speaker, Madam Yeah. Now introducing Madam Cecilia Ngaiza for Data Wakili chat box. Karibu sana.
Asante, MC. Good evening. Yes, as I have been rightly introduced, I am Dr. Cecilia Ngaiza. I am a lecturer from the University of Dar es Salaam School of Law. I am an advocate. So to say, I am a lecturer and an advocate. Now, here the pertinent question is, am I a woman in ICT? You will be able to answer that as I proceed with my presentation. Yes, so I'm here to present to you about the legal advice chatbot that enables women in Tanzania to understand their legal rights and access to justice. This tool is known as Dada Wakili, a tool for women empowerment through legal and other related information, such as economic rights, for example, right to work, right to own property, and etc. Now, I have been given less than 10 minutes, so I won't say much in deep, but I'll just try my best to give the highlights of how this tool works. I would like to present Dada Wakili via demonstrative video, but before we jump into that, because it's just a short highlight video, I would like to give you a brief background on how we came up with this chatbot. So before I joined academia, I worked with an NGO known as Tanzania Women Lawyers Association. It provides, among other things, it provides legal aid to indigent women and children across Tanzania. It has branches in Dar es Salaam, Dodoma, Mwanza, Mbeya, Arusha. And I managed to work in two of these two legal aid clinics. In Dar es Salaam, I was simply a volunteer, whereby I joined back in the year 2014 as I had completed my first degree, my LLB degree, and later I joined the legal aid clinic in Arusha as the regional coordinator of that clinic. And over the years I worked in these legal aid clinics, I identified many barriers, actually not some, many barriers facing women to accessing justice and in navigating their legal rights, such as socioeconomic stereotypes, like women should not be so much vocal about their rights, poverty that has sucked women into inability to seek their legal rights where necessary, and ignorance of law, among others. Now, when I joined academia after leaving the legal aid field, of course I didn't actually leave, I just changed priorities. When I joined the University of Dar es Salaam as the assistant lecturer, I carried this passion with me from the experiences I had gathered from working with legal aid clinics. I had conversations with colleagues at the University of Dar es Salaam School of Law. Why don't we find solution of these problems we have been able to identify from our practice and from our research? And that's when we agreed to form the University of Dar es Salaam Research Group on Law, Society, and Technology. Now, as a privilege, we got an opportunity to be mentored by the University of Sussex Center for Law and Technology. And that's where we got an opportunity to meet one prominent woman known as Professor Sarah Stevens, who has done massive research on women rights and access to justice in Tanzania for over a decade. She was actually completing her PhD in Tanzania on how technology can enhance women's rights in Tanzania, and she specifically based her research on inheritance rights. So the outcome of her PhD was to come up with a legal tech solution, and this is where Dada Wakili was born. Professor Sarah Stevens from the University of Sussex Center for Law and Technology had interacted with more than 400 women during her field research. And she came up with the idea of building Dada Wakili, a legal chatbot to assist women navigate their legal rights and to assist legal aid providers in Tanzania in their legal research and legal assistance to their clients. So I won't say much about Dada Wakili. Here on the podium, I had shared an highlight video, and I would kindly like to ask the technical team to display such video. Karibu.
justice is a global problem. 1 in 5 people globally do not know their rights and do not have access to justice. We see Dada Wakili as a tool that can really help bridge that justice gap between people and knowledge. And by putting it on the mobile phone, we can scale quite rapidly.
Women face a lot of barriers in Tanzania, and that is why access to justice primarily is very essential to them. Tanzania is very big. It has more than 27 regions in the mainland. It has several number of regions in the island, and we cannot afford to have legal clinics in every remote areas. So it is very challenging for women, especially in rural areas, to access justice because of the geographical coverage of the country. Number 2, the legal literacy. Most of the women are not aware of their legal rights, and also that makes a challenge for them also to access justice. But we do also have challenges in terms of the cultural norms itself. Sometimes the culture prohibits women, to raise their voices, to report these cases.
So Dada Wakili is built around women's justice needs in Tanzania. Dada Wakili is Swahili for sister lawyer. It's bilingual, it's accessible in English, but she does also speak the Swahili language. Women can put their question in Swahili and she will respond in Swahili. Dada Wakili is more like a legal companion, a legal friend, where women can really ask for specific information on different legal topics, but primarily at the moment starting with inheritance rights.
I'm pretty excited that we already now have this tool that uses artificial intelligence in supporting women to accessing justice in Tanzania.
Dada Wakili is a tool that's curated and trained on Tanzanian laws. It's accessible through 2 different channels. One, through a mobile phone. People can use that directly through WhatsApp. They put in their question and it will generate a specific answer to their legal issue. The second entry point is a desktop version for lawyers and paralegals to use. And that has additional features, so it helps with legal research, legal drafting, and framing legal information, so it can respond to specific questions.
Dada Wakili imenirahisishia kazi yangu ya wanasheria katika kutoa huduma za msaada wa kisheria kwa kina mama, kwani sheria na taratibu zote zimewekwa kwenye Dada Wakili na taarifa ambayo imethibitishwa kwa ajili ya kurahisisha ule utafiti ambao nilikuwa na utafuta kwenye vyanzo mbalimbali.
Ikiwa kama mwanasheria anayehudumu katika kituo cha msaada wa kisheria hapa Temeke, ndani ya muda mfupi naweza nikaishirikisha Dada Wakili kuhusiana na changamoto anayokuwa nayo mteja, na Dada Wakili inanipatia taarifa zozote zinazokuwa zinahusu masuala ya kisheria kiujumla, lakini zaidi masuala ya mirathi pamoja na ukatili wa kijinsia, ambayo mimi nitakuwa na wajibu tu wa kumwelezea mteja.
Mimi nimependa kwa sababu sasa hivi naona kuna msaada ambao wa kukimbilia sisi wale wanyonge ambao walikuwa kipindi hicho hawaeleweki, hawajui waende wapi, wafanye nini. Sasa kumbe kupitia hii application wanaweza wakawa sasa ni rahisi kwao. Yani kuna utofauti na zamani utafute pesa mpaka umpate wakili, lakini hapa hakuna gharama ya kutafuta mawakili. Kwa hiyo hii imekuwa ni rahisi, ambapo unafungua tu, unauliza maswali yote na unajibiwa, alafu pia lugha yao ni nyepesi.
Ni matarajio yetu kwamba mfumo huu wa kidijitali utawezesha umma kwa ujumla kuzoea kutumia mifumo ya kidijitali ili kuweza kupata kujua masuala mbalimbali ya kisheria ambayo atawezesha pia kwa ujumla kupata haki zao kwa wakati. Lakini pia mfumo huu utawezesha kuwa na ufanisi katika kutoa huduma mbalimbali za kisheria.
Our vision is to extend beyond the Tanzanian borders, to work through networks of legal advice centres and charities and civil society organisations. We've built Dada Wakili in such a way that it's replicable. We can train her on different legal data sets for each country, so she can be relevant to each context.
Asante. So this is Dada Wakili in highlights. For now, we are able to assist women on areas related to gender-based violence, inheritance rights, and empower women in their economic rights, as I've mentioned earlier. And we are aligning to the Vision 2050 that sets a very aggressive targets to strengthen laws against GBV. As the government is working towards this, we are also aligning our tool towards this goal. Dada Wakili is a learning platform for women. It does not have to wait for a woman to be in distress to start learning about her rights. She can learn about her rights even in times of peace and harmony. Now, what are the next steps for Dada Wakili? So far, you have seen we have been able to work with few partners, few legal aid clinics in Wildaf, the Temeke Integrated Judiciary Center. Our aim and the main target is to scale it up countrywide so that we are able to reach as many women as possible. We have approached the Ministry of Constitution and Legal Affairs, and we are very grateful that they have accommodated and welcomed our ideas, and we are in discussion now to see how the Directorate of Legal Aid can assist us in reaching more legal aid providers and introduce this legal tech solution. We have partnered also with Irish Aid, who have supported our initial phase of building it and piloting it. We are welcoming more partnership with us to continue improving the tool. We are also grateful to the FCDO, who have also welcomed our idea to support the most vulnerable women, even those who cannot own smartphones or those who are not in access to internet, for example, so that they can even use their Vitochi phone and access legal information from normal SMS. For the interests of time, I propose to end here. I look forward to more deliberations and partnerships on this digital solution. Asanteni sana.
Asante sana Dr. Cecilia Ngaiza na Dada Wakili Chatbox. Mmetuonyesha jinsi teknolojia inavyoweza kutumika kutoa msaada wa kisheria kwa wananchi. Asanteni sana. Tumpigie makofi tena. We now proceed to another inspiring session that celebrates the spirit of innovation, resilience, and leadership among women in Tanzania digital landscape. It's my pleasure to introduce our next panel discussion, Women Entrepreneurs in the Digital Economy. Guiding this important conversation is our esteemed moderator, Halila Mbowe, a respected voice in championship, women empowerment and entrepreneurship. I now invite our moderator, Halila Mbowe, karibu sana, to introduce the panelists. A round of applause to Halila Mbowe, please.
Asante sana. Hello, everybody. Good evening. Poleni sana, lakini tuko pamoja na tunaenda vizuri. As introduced, my name is Halila Mbowe, and it gives me great pleasure to moderate the panel this evening. Before I move anywhere, I'd love to call my esteemed panel to the front. Ladies and gentlemen, kabla sijawaita, naomba niulize tena, how are you doing? Asa mimi nitaomba tuweke jiweke sawa hapo hapo ulipo. Muulize jirani yako pembeni, how are you? Muulize umechoka? Mambo mazito. Alafu siku ilikuwa ina joto. Lakini tupo. Muulize upo? Muulize upo? Mwambie wanakuja kukiwasha. Sijui asikii, mbona mwambie? Mwambie sasa wanakuja kukiwasha. Asante, none of the students did that. Ladies and gentlemen, naomba umpigie jirani yako makofi. Na kama hakupigii makofi, give your neighbor a round of applause. You're not giving yourself, watu wengine mmebaniwa. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, with that, I'd love to take a moment to introduce my esteemed panel. Kumekuwa kuna mazungumzo mengi sana kuanzia mwanzo mpaka sasa hivi. Lakini at this point, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to start by introducing my panel in the following ways. We have heard from strong women across different sectors. Na muda umetutupa mkono, so I'm going to rush this. But before that, I want to establish one thing. Women in the tech space are not a footnote. And I've written the following, and I'd like to present it to you in this way. Women in the tech space are not a footnote, and it has been established here today. They say women in tech are like a side story, a paragraph, a footnote. But here's the data they don't dramatize enough. Women run 30% of Africa's businesses, yet 30% of Africa's businesses, yet less than 5% of venture capital, and still somehow we scale. Women are the fastest adopters of digital platforms, the quiet architects of fintech flows, agri-tech chains, edtech pipelines, health tech lifelines. They call it informal. We call it the economy. Wanasema kwamba tunachochea uchumi, mabibi na mabwana, tunataka kukuambia kwamba we are the economy. By 2030, half of Africa's jobs won't sit in offices, they'll live on platforms, apps, networks, and codes. And women, the fact of the matter is we are already there. We are not waiting for permission. We are not waiting for policy to catch up. We are not waiting to be empowered. We build while frameworks are still being drafted. They talk about Vision 2050. We push it forward because we are Vision 2050. $1 trillion economy, big numbers, big dreams, but let's be honest. You cannot reach $1 trillion by leaving your most consistent builders on the margins. Women do not only build economies, they build homes. Women do not only build societies, they build communities. Without the lifeline of women pushing forward countries like Tanzania, 1 million, 1 trillion, 1 billion, whatever currency you will put to it is impossible. Let's give the women a hand of applause. Ladies and gentlemen, it's not just about including women, it's about aligning systems with reality. And the reality is women are already building. Because women in the digital economy are not just a diversity checkbox, we are the infrastructure. We are the platforms, we are the pipeline, we are the proof. So today, we don't just ask what can women or how can women lead the digital economy. We ask something sharper. When and how will the systems finally catch up with the economy that women are already building? Ladies and gentlemen, karibuni sana to our panel for this evening. Let's give every single woman in this room who has been in this space, championed by, of course, our honorable minister this morning, a massive round of applause. Our panel this evening is titled Women Entrepreneurs as Systems Builders, Architects of Tanzania's Digital Economy. First and foremost, my number one, I'd love to bring to the stage Miss Lillian Sechelela Madeja, the CEO and founder of Niajiri Platform. Lillian is the founder of Niajiri Platform, a workforce development and recruitment technology company focused on skills to employment matching and improving how employers find and access talent. Ladies and gentlemen, next to the stage, Ms. Sharon Sule from CRDB Bank Foundation. She works largely in startup development, supporting early stage ventures through capacity building and access to seed support, and is known in Tanzania's ecosystem for her role in strengthening capacity Tumpigie makofi. In strengthening startup growth pathways through partnerships. One of the things I'd like to tell you, considering I know you're tired, kila unavyopiga makofi unapunguza calories na unapunguza uzito. So those fitness goals you started off with at the beginning of the year, this is where you begin. Ladies and gentlemen, next to the stage, Miss Esther Mengi, CEO, Serensic Africa, to the stage. She, the co-founder and CEO, is a firm. She runs this firm specializing in cybersecurity, digital forensics, data privacy and protection, and fraud-related risk services. Ladies and gentlemen, also to the stage, Daria Sukova, from the highest school of economics, running or connected to the e-governance knowledge hub. Daria is a researcher affiliated with this university, focused on the Africa-focused work. Ladies and gentlemen, a hand of applause to her. She contributes to research and knowledge products on digital governance and Africa's digital transformative debates. Also to the stage, mabibi na mabwana, lastly but not least, Miss Fatma Mwamba, Managing Director, Dinfotel Solutions Company Limited. Makofi aliyoshiba kwake. Engineer Fatma Mwamba, telecoms ICT professional and publicly identified, of course, as the managing director of Dinfotel. The company that operates in the ICT telecom space, engaging in sector leadership and conversations around connectivity and digital infrastructure. Now to the panel, a lot has been said from the very morning. I'm going to come to join you, but a lot has been said from the morning. There's a lot that has been done with women in this space. There's a lot that we've been hearing championed across different spaces about women in ICT. And one of the things that I'm going to do with this panel this evening, from the morning we've heard about inclusion, from the morning we've heard about women operating in various sectors. This evening with this panel, we're not talking about the challenges, we're not talking about the gaps, we're talking about the systems that need to shift for us to accelerate and to grow faster. We're talking about the systems that have already been built because we have not been left behind, we are already pushing forward. Now, I have been introduced. My name is Khalila Mboy. I run Unleashed Africa Social Enterprises. It is a group of social enterprises working across different sectors, but operating across 3 different divisions. Across our consult division, business division, and impact division, we build different programs working or targeting the development space. We also build different media and tech products touching across 3 different sectors that we work in. We work directly within the creative sector. We work within the development sector, really building different development infrastructures to help different institutions working within the development space, specifically gender to begin with, to do their work effectively and with efficiency. But we also work within the social enterprise space. So we run different accelerator programs and so forth. I'm going to start moja kwa moja na Miss Lillian Sachalela Madede. Mabibi na mabwana, nitawaomba moja kwa moja tuseme kwamba haya ni mazungumzo mafupi na tutakuwa tuna mazungumzo baada ya habari. Nitakuwa naruka kwenye Kiingereza na Kiswahili ili tuende sawa. Ni sawa? Sasa mimi nitakuwa nawauliza, sasa itabidi mnijibu ili mimi nijue kwamba tunaenda kwa pamoja. Ni sawa? Sawa. So tunaanza moja kwa moja na Miss Lillian Sachalela Madede. I've known Lily for very many years. Watu wanaweza kusema anza startup. Wadau, kama there's an entrepreneur next to your table, mwambie mtu kazi sio ndogo. Miss, in the morning, we had a presentation with the Airbnb etc. Nilwa. And she said, it was not easy. It is not easy. I remember Lily from the days of panic attacks to, my goodness, will it work? To now, Nigeria is operating across different countries in Africa. Tumpige makofi. Across different countries in Africa, she has scaled and she keeps scaling. And mina najua kwamba tunapiga nchi zote Afrika. Lily, digital work is growing faster than policy and systems and skill systems can adapt. We have seen that shift and you have built Nigeria through that shift. By 2030, it's estimated that 50% of new jobs in Africa will be informal or platform-based. This is just in the next 4 years and 11 months. You sit at the intersection of jobs, data, and digital labor markets. That's where you operate. From what you are seeing on ground, kwa ground, unachokiona, what does Tanzania need to get right now to ensure that the platform economy creates decent work at scale, since we are going to be in the informal economy? How do we create decent work at scale and not just ishi kwenye gig survival?
So, digging right into it, kwa ground uhalisia ni kwamba, currently there is gig economy happening. As you're speaking, there's people working in the Airbnb sector, there's social media, there's just so much that is happening within the gig economy, but it is not necessarily formally recognized, right? So that means there is a recognition that is missing in one hand. When we're talking about what is needed in the marketplace, the way our systems are currently structured, it is structured for formal, in terms of you go through certificate, short program, degree, a diploma, and then a degree, or however you proceed through there or stop. But even with that degree, the reality of the matter, employers are looking for employees who are ready to do the work. It is not necessarily about the certificate that you have. So it's more about the skills. So that is also a shift. Like, how do we design, or how are we prepared in making sure that it is more than just somebody showcasing their certificate, but it is somebody also being able to showcase that I actually have this particular talent to be able to deliver. And then to move it off from there, is, wrapping it up, because I think we're talking about time. If I am to say what are the key things that we have to think about as a nation heading to 2030, how are we able to track? And when I say track, it does not necessarily mean to capture so that we can get taxes or whatever, but it is using our platforms, which is something that we're doing as Nigeria, that with the different skills that you have, we're tracking about the skills that you have so that we're able to showcase those skills to a potential employer. So you literally get hired. When you talk about that, it's not about your CV, it's about all the things that you do on the platform, because we're trying to assess where is your readiness score. Number two, we need to be able to get, so that wraps up in the sense that moving from I have a certificate to these are the skills that I have and this is how I can actually apply them in the marketplace, because that is the only thing at the end of the day, how you're able to apply it in the marketplace, but also continuous learning. When I talk about continuous learning, elimu haina mwisho. Hiyo msemo tumekuwa nao na unaendelea kuwepo, na ukweli wa mambo ni kwamba elimu haina mwisho. So whether this be kwamba we're talking about the gig economy and platform, ama hata wale ambao tayari wako maofisini, kuna uhitaji wa kuweza kutengeneza mifumo, na nikisema kutengeneza, kuna mifumo ambayo ipo, lakini kuna uhitaji wa kuweza kufanya aggregation, so that watu wanaofanya different certification, tunaweza kuweza kuitrack, kwa sababu those are the things now that gives you more power when you're going to being employed, but even when mwenyewe kuwepo employable kwenye kufanya vile vitu vyako. Skill ambao umejifunza mwaka jana kwenye social media and how to be a social media guru, leo hii kuna new tools, kuna nini ambao unatakiwa kuendelea kujifunza. Kwa ukibakia na ile mindset nilichojifunza mwaka jana kitaniendelea kuniendeleza mpaka miaka 10 ijayo, which there was a time long time ago that it would suffice. It is not where we are. So being able to have systems, policies that is able to track the micro-credentialing, being able to track those who are outside the formal, and really redefining what is decent and not decent. Kwa sababu gig economy imeingia kwenye not decent. Na not decent kwamba you're not able to track, it's not continuous on a day-to-day. So those are some of the things that we have to look at as a nation.
Thank you so much. And of course, vitu vinabadilika kwa haraka sana. And we've talked about learning, then there's also micro-learning. And you're saying that the certificate is great, but the certificate is not enough for where we're going through. People are not looking for the paper. They are looking for the skills that you have. So how can you showcase the skills that you have? Kwa wanafunzi ambao mmo ndani, watu watafuta kile cheti cha form 4, cha chuo, wanatafuta kujua huyu mtu ana ujuzi gani, anaweza kufanya nini. Hapo sasa, shughuli ni pevu. All the way to you, Sharon. One of the things that I love about what you do is your passion for pushing forward women entrepreneurs and youth as a whole. And of course, what we know, ladies and gentlemen, kimeshasemwa hapa na tumekisikia sana, women-led enterprises dominate MSME numerically, and yet capital systems still treat them like high-risk, low-scale actors. Mpaka sasa, less than 10% of women-led enterprises in East Africa access formal growth capital, despite all the different projects and programs that are around. Less than 10. Despite the fact that they have a strong repayment record, the community impact, tunasema mwezeshe mwanamke, umewezesha jamii, still less than 10%. From the foundation perspective and from the banking ecosystem perspective, where you come from, CRDB Foundation, tell us, what do you think is broken in how we currently design capital for women entrepreneurs? And then, of course, what new financial instruments and blended model actually show promise currently? Karibu.
Thank you, Kalila. As introduced, Sharon Sule, Manager of Startups Development at CRDB Bank Foundation. Thank you very much. That's a very good question. At CRDB Bank Foundation, women entrepreneurs, women MSMEs are at the core of our work. Women are one of our biggest beneficiaries at CRDB Bank Foundation. And to answer your question, what is broken? What I have seen over the years, what is broken in the formal banking system or when it comes to access to capital in general? So when you go to banks, most banks, as we understand, they're risk averse. Most banks, any financial institution you go to, it is risk aversive because they do not want to incur the risk. They always aim to get the minimal risk as possible. So why they cannot cover the section of women is because they feel women are high risk. So then they now push these women to get to other instruments that are more favorable for them. And that's why you see many banks introduce other forms of funding for women entrepreneurs. Well, I might speak a bit about CRDB Bank PLC as it is. CRDB Bank PLC has special funding for women MSMEs, looking about special accounts for women, Malkia accounts, all these so that it can support women entrepreneurs. But then when it comes to how the system is broken in itself, first, it's highly collateral based, yeah? Asset heavy, collateral based, because women entrepreneurs, MSMEs, most of them are operating at a small scale and informally. So you cannot expect them to have high collaterals, high value collaterals, so to be able to get funding or loans from these financial institutions. But then the other is informalities, yeah? So we punish these women, or we punish these businesses with stringent processes, documentation on formalization, and not understanding that most of these women, they formalize gradually, yeah? When a woman starts a business, and that's what we do actually at CRDB Bank Foundation, we support women from the grassroots, from the small scale, the smallest scale, the likes of Mama Ntilie, because we understand they cannot formalize themselves. It's a gradual process. So we formalize them, we take them through training, understanding actually the actual concepts of financials. How do they manage their financials? And that's when they can get to grow their businesses. And at CRDB Bank Foundation, that's when we came up with a way of supporting women entrepreneurs where we removed collaterals. We do not take collaterals completely. We do not take collaterals. We do not take interest, not compared to the normal banking systems. So why? Because we want to capacitate them, to grow them, and then they will eventually graduate into the formal banking system. But then we need to get to where they are first. And this is how we uplift them. Now, the other question, what instruments are currently promising? I would say the number one powerful instrument that is proven to be working, and it will work even in 5, 10, 20 years to come, is blended financing models and guarantee financing. So when you talk about blended financing models, women, as we've seen, they are small scale. So we need people who are ready to reach to them where they are and pick them up to a certain level. And then we now get to another actor who will pick from that level and fund them from the level where they've been brought up to. So for example, a good example, a live example, we've done a blended financing model where we've worked with UNDP, Funguo, where they've provided grants, and we are providing these soft loans that have no collateral, yeah? So we give these soft loans to the women who have already been financed with grants, catalytic grants that are free, non-refundable. So that by the time they're coming to us to get the soft loans, they already have a certain capacity to repay the funds, or they've already grown their revenues. Now, the other one is guarantee financing. Guarantee financing, it goes a long way to support or back financial institutions into giving these women bigger ticket sizes into their funding needs. Because when you look at the guarantees, someone is willing to guarantee an entrepreneur because of the potential that they have. And then that guarantee, it also guarantees the funder that the woman or the business is able to produce or to generate a certain amount of revenue at a certain given time.
Right.
Thank you very much.
So basically having somebody vouch for her.
Yes.
And the business.
Yes.
Makofi kwake mabibi na mabwana na kwa SELF-RELIANT Bank for being innovative in your models as usual. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go next to Miss Esther Mengi, the powerhouse of Forensic Africa. Esther, markets normally do not grow by talent alone. They grow by access to contracts. We grow by access to good procurement practices. And of course, when we get to scale buyers, right? We talk about the fact that women, they're operating small, but then we need to move from that mindset of women run small businesses. We are now talking about scale. But for us to be able to grow, it's not just about the talent alone. We have to expand capability, contracts, give us procurement, scale buyers. From your experience working with large enterprises and across complex systems, because the space that you work in, from when you started, mlikuwa ni wachache sana. Maybe utazungumzia hiko pia. Wachache sana. Where do women entrepreneurs systemically hit the glass ceiling of scale? Kwamba ninaanza nafika, nimegota. Not because of capability, but because of how markets and procurement systems are structured.
Thank you, Kalila. It's Mrs. Esther Mengi. You know, if my dad hears you saying, Miss Esther Mengi, what's not happening? So it's Mrs. Esther.
Mrs. Esther Mengi.
Yes, it's Mrs. Esther Mengi, and I'm happy that that question dropped on me because it's something that I've been wanting to really discuss and shed a light on. So Forensic is 11 years in the market. So we do cybersecurity services, and as we all know, cybersecurity is not an easy market, you know? It's super trust-based. A bank can't open doors for you and tell you, oh, Esther, come in and, you know, offer us your solutions. It doesn't work like that, yeah? And then being a female in tech, there's a stereotype to how you need to look like. Prior to them meeting you, they've already made up their mind that, okay, she's a techie, with those nails and that hair, and, you know, there's already that kaba set for you. So over the years, I've come to learn how the complex procurement and what hinders us from really scaling. So Forensic has scaled. We have a presence in like 5 countries already, and we are offering our solutions across in Tanzania and outside Tanzania, outside Africa. So we have tested the waters and have really seen what works and what doesn't. So the biggest deal breaker is usually the terms of the contracts to begin with. So usually you're given a gig, a tender, and you're told, you know what, the payment terms is like 30 days, 60 days, or 120 days after delivery. You are a startup, you don't have the funds to start doing that job. Where are you getting the money to pay, to finance your project and also pay the team, and after 3 months you're being paid. So how are you going to run your company? There's one big mistake. Another thing is the bundles or how the tenders are structured. Usually they are so huge, yeah? So you're told, oh, go to Nest and you find this tender, and then the value of that tender is like 3-4 billion, yeah? So now you're not given the money to do that work, or not even an advance, but then it's so huge, it has so many components. So usually the tenders go to the bigger corporations, yeah, who have the financial muscles, who can do everything together. So you end up maybe being subcontracted into some segment of a tender, instead of that tender being put into smaller components where different companies can also participate in that similar tender, yeah? So another biggest problem is informal access to these tenders. So when a tender is published, there's usually a winner who has not been advertised yet. So you go to a procurement system and you're like, oh, I've seen this cybersecurity tender or supply tender, but the client had already chosen the vendor. That's just a formality. So you waste your energy, your time, you apply for the tender while the tender already has somebody else. So it is, the problem is not that women cannot scale, but it's in the structures and the framework of the scaling, yeah? So we have a problem in our procurement system as a country and as the world in general. So it's not favorable to small companies. First, they'll tell you we need audited financials of 3, 4, 5 years. You're a startup, where are you going to get the 4 or 5 years audited financials? And they tell you it has to be above 400 million. You're a startup, so you're already left out of that category. They have not even seen your capability, but they've already canceled you. Yeah, so there is where we hit that break when you want to scale.
Yes, thank you so much. And of course, with that, ladies and gentlemen, a hand of applause to Mrs. Mengi. The fact of the matter is, they're not favorable to smaller companies, but most of the smaller companies are run by, and that's where the issue comes in. Miss, is it Miss? Oh, it's no, Daria. It's Miss. Okay, I have to check. Miss Daria Sokova from HSE. I'm going to ask you to take a moment to introduce yourself right after, before you answer my question, and just the work that you do. Maybe you could just spend a minute there. But before to the question, I'll ask that question, then you can do both the intro and respond. Is that okay? All right. Countries so far, you deal with data, research, that's a lot of the work that you do. Countries that lead digital economies, as we have seen, they invest heavily in skill pipelines, data, and applied research. Research. It's not just about funding startups, but it's that R&D. It's about that data, right? From a research and innovation systems perspective that you carry, what skills and capabilities do you believe we are under-investing for women, especially here in Tanzania? If Tanzania is serious about a knowledge-driven economy by 2050, what skills are we heavily under-investing in when it comes to women?
Okay, asante Halila. My name is Daria Sukhova. I'm from Moscow, Russia, from the Higher School of Economics University, or Chuo Kikuu cha Uchumi cha Moscow. And we have launched the e-governance knowledge sharing program at the Center for African Studies, which is a leading center for innovation and cooperation with African countries from Russia nowadays. So talking about the research, I believe that before you research, as you've mentioned already, you should have you should develop your skills first. So, because, mtoto umleavyo ndivyo akuavyo. So, we tend to focus on startups at the end of the innovation cycle, but sometimes we underinvest early at the early stages in advanced digital skills for women in such domains as cybersecurity, cloud platforms, artificial intelligence, cloud architecture, and all of these influence the quality of the final research which we have at the outcome. So these are the capabilities which determine who creates technology and who leads in policy making. So that's why skills development is a foundational part. So to develop skills, knowledge sharing, it's a necessity, it's a crucial part. And our e-governance knowledge sharing program is a powerful example of how knowledge sharing works in practice. So we organized a range of events with the representatives of Africa, with representatives of business sector from Russia and from African countries, as well as with the policymakers, because the ICT ministers of Zimbabwe, Uganda, and senior officials from Nigeria, Mauritania, and all over the Africa, actually. And I think I don't need to mention that all of them, they are women. They are part of our knowledge sharing program. And we believe that this expertise and this sharing of experience is foundation of the research. And we should also develop the assessment and certification scheme. And at our events, we grant these certificates of the skills upgrade. So I think this is the main point, to share the knowledge, to develop the skills.
Thank you so much. A hand of applause to Ms. Tukova. Over to you, Managing Director at Infotel Company Limited. When it comes to digital companies or digital economies, they scale when infrastructure decisions follow economic behavior. I love economics. I'm a nerd in that space. And when they follow economic behavior and not just population maps, not just demographics, that infrastructure needs to bank connectivity, reliability, and affordability. That's when we can have digital economies that scale. From infrastructure and telecom side, which is where you sit, what are the invisible bottlenecks that still limit women entrepreneurs' ability to scale digital businesses, especially beyond urban centers? What are the bottlenecks that you're seeing?
Okay, thank you so much, moderator. My name is Engineer Fatuma Mwamba, as how I've been introduced. I am a founder and managing director of Infotel Solution Company Limited. Infotel is an engineering company, a contractor for ICT and electrical services. Our goal is to transform the traditional construction and engineering practices into technology-driven systems. I have experience in telco company, as before I founded Infotel, I was working with one of the telco company here in Tanzania as a field engineer. I worked for over 8 years. So I've been into site, deploying the infrastructure, troubleshooting, and managing the infrastructure.
Umejenga minara.
Yes. Okay, so back to the question, I can say the bottlenecks are into the technology we are relying to. We appreciate the efforts that have been done by the government in the expansion of the backbone, but we are still having issues of intermittent connectivity, as well as high latence and stable connections. This is due to the technology which we are relying to, because those technologies are power dependent technologies. Wherever we have power fluctuations of the power outages, the base stations fluctuates, the network congestions becomes high, and then the whole systems are disturbed. And in order for entrepreneurs to remain up and to maintain the SLAs, you need to have the redundant connectivity, you have to have backup servers, and you need to have some other backup systems in which one fails, the other one operates. That requires high investment and makes the entrepreneurs not expand, not focus on innovations, instead on focus on technical operations and resolving the technical issues always. So what I can say here is let's leverage the technologies which can improve our last mile connectivity to the end users and the consumers. They are the use of technologies like low orbit satellites. They're the use of like white spaces frequencies. We have some unutilized frequencies which are allocated for radios and televisions. So telco and governments can utilize those frequencies to broadcast the connection, internet transmission into those frequencies. That frequencies are very low frequency, so they can transmit fast and they can go far to so many places. That will remove the congestion of the frequencies, which will operate, as well as it can improve the issue of reliability, as well as on the low orbit satellites. The low orbit satellite are satellites which are close to the Earth. It means the transmission of data from the ground to the satellites is faster. So we will improve also the connectivity on those issues. So what I can say here, the bottlenecks are on the technology which we are relying to. And despite how the infrastructure we have expanded, we're still having the large population which is still uncovered. That is because of the high costs which our government is still using in order to reach out to those areas. They're building so many towers to cover a very small area. Instead, we can leverage on other technologies which in very small number of equipment, you cover the very large, big areas. And they do not depend on the that existence of the power on the site and the towers. So, thank you.
Thank you so much. A hand of applause to Miss Fatma Mwamba, engineer. I love what you said. Basically, from everything that you said, what I got is there are issues, yes, and there are bottlenecks, yes, but there are solutions. But to be able to address the solutions, we have to think unconventionally. And we have to dare to think, because there are some things that are already existing that we can use rather than create a new. But we have to be unconventional and dare to have those conversations. So considering time, we do not have much time. I would like to wrap this up really quickly. Does anybody have any question? Mtu yoyote atakuwa na swali, ana wazo, going once, going twice, going thrice, none. So I'm going to ask us to do a quick fire round, and these are the final questions I have. I'm going to throw over to you. So I'll ask a question, you'll get to respond, and with that, that will be your parting shot. Is that okay? All right, so again, starting with you, Lillian. Miss Madeje Mise. Madeje, Vision 2050. It demands productivity, secure and scalable work, not just digital participation. If Tanzania were redesigning its future of work policies, na ulikuwa una waziri hapa, mara pa akatokea, akakwambia Mr. Madeje, wewe sema tunafanya. Right? If today you are at that space where we are redesigning our future of work policies with platforms economy in mind, what is the one system level change that you would tell the government that you believe would most accelerate decent digital work for women at scale? The one thing.
The one thing that I would advocate for is platforms to be utilized, back to the micro-credentialing, to be able to track and skill up for actionable items. We still are having a very large gap in the marketplace whereby the talent that is in the marketplace does not have the skills needed. So if there is one thing that I could aim for, is being able to utilize platforms to be able to maximize the power that platforms have to connect that to those two. So to be able to capture those who are coming out of universities, do a micro-credentialing, to be able to showcase those profiles to the larger database of employers, and those, because they're having micro-credentialing learning courses, they can also be able to strive to get their own employability. This is in terms of the gig economy, which is something that as Nigeria platform, we are currently doing. So maximize the power of such platforms to be able to do that at a national level.
Thank you so much. Thank you. The power of platforms, micro-credentialing, showcasing what people can actually do. Over to you, Ms. Nsule. When it comes to capital design,
actually international organizations that are bringing in guarantees to Tanzania. yeah, especially working with financial institutions, which is a good thing. And good thing, again, it targets women, youth and women entrepreneurs. There are so many out there. So we have a couple, and this is also through partnerships, forming different kind of partnerships that are based on guarantee financing. Because when you look at funding different level of entrepreneurs requires different levels of approach. So guarantees will go a long way, but also strategic partnerships to unlock these guarantees. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. A hand of applause to Ms. Nsula. And I think over there, the biggest takeaway, tumpigie makofi. Mbona mnakuwa wachoyo? The biggest takeaway for me there is the partnerships and the innovative approach towards coming together. It's not just about the institution's bottom line and metrics, coming together for the bigger picture. Mrs. Esther Mengi. Procurement, as you've mentioned, is one of the most powerful yet underused economic levers. And you've talked about it with passion, and I love that we have touched on something that you've wanted to talk about for a while. What specific changes, you've talked about the issues that exist, but what specific changes in public and corporate procurement would immediately shift how women entrepreneurs operate? So basically moving them from peripheral vendors just on the sidelines to strategic digital partners.
Thank you for the question. I know for a fact that the biggest thing that needs to happen right now is to do a procurement redesign. Yeah? The conventional, the old way of procurement, the normal way does not cut it for us women in this modern day and age. We are driven, we set the bar so high and we reach it. We have the team, we have the drive, but then the procurement system or the structure is set up for failure, especially for smaller companies. So if there could be a procurement redesign, trying to target smaller companies that are growing, that have the capacity, they can deliver, then we will have a faster growing rate of women entrepreneurs scaling at higher levels, unlike using the current procurement framework or structure that there is. Kwa mfano, even for banks, I don't know about CRDB, but for banks, we are told, wajasiriamali wadogo wadogo, wanawake wafanyabiashara wadogo wadogo, tunawapa fund ya milioni 30 mfano. Milioni 30, it's good as seed money. But when you want to scale and you're competing with the same people, same caliber of people that you're competing with in the same tender, it's not enough. We all know that ICT equipment, ICT tenders are one of the most priced tenders. They go up to billions and billions. So here you are telling an entrepreneur who's ready to scale that you're going to give them 50 million. For us, it's like, okay, where am I going to get the rest of the money? Yeah. So we need to look at scaling startups or scaling companies for what they really are. If a company has stayed in the market for 5 years going up, they must be doing something that's working. Jamani, tunajua biashara ambavyo ilivyo vigumu kufanya biashara. Sasa fikiria kufanya biashara kwa miaka 5, 10, 11, 20. It means that something is already working. We just need a supporting structure that will support what's already working for us to unlock the next level that we want to achieve. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Makofi kwake mabibi na mabwana. So basically, a procurement redesign. Hapo sasa moja kwa moja kwenye ICT Commission kusema kwamba we need to now do those consultative sessions with ICT run businesses. Kusema kwamba what would actually work? What needs to be reframed? Wasifanye mtuite. Tukae pamoja tuangalie jinsi gani tunaweza kuhakikisha kwamba that scale is not just a dream and a promise, but is actually attained. Over to you, Ms. Sukova. Policy without data. Most of the times it leads to lag. If data were used more aggressively in policy and investment decisions, what do you believe it would reveal about women entrepreneurs that we are currently overlooking or underestimating? If data was used to aggressively in policy and investment decisions, what would it reveal? What would we discover about women entrepreneurs that we are currently overlooking or underestimating?
Asante Halila. I like how you call it the aggressive use of data. And I believe that if we use data more aggressively, as you say, we would reveal that the scale of women's economic activity, it remains informal, but it is so productive that it is actually on the same grounds as the formal levels. So it will help to determine the actual level of female engagement in economic activities and women entrepreneurship. It is to put with digital transaction data, platform data, and mobile finance data. So it would reveal the actual volumes of trade and services which are developed by women. And at the High School of Economics, as a part of our research, as a part of our program, which I have mentioned already, we've launched the e-governance knowledge hub, which serves as a data sharing platform between Russia and African countries in the digital domain and in e-governance in particular. And we make research based on actual data. We verify the data with the experts from African countries to be sure that nothing is forgot by us in our research, in our publications. So this hub, it is a platform to share experience from one African country to another. And we really hope that Tanzania will serve as a primary example of how we actually define this female role in the economy, and we will be able to make a shared research together and verify it with you and maybe even the new minister, Miss Angelica, and share this positive experience with other African countries. So it would be a top-tier country in this field of women data in economy. Yeah.
Thank you so much. A hand of applause for Ms. Sukova. And of course, the emphasis on data, because I don't believe we use it enough, nor do we invest in it enough. We need more data-driven policies and technologies. Karibu sana, Engineer Mwamba. Do you have a mic? Yes, you do. Execution, to just wrap us up. We have the vision, 2050 $1 trillion economy. But then we know that without execution, vision will flop. What practical partnerships, it could be between government and operators and entrepreneurs, what have you, what practical partnerships could immediately accelerate women-led digital enterprises over the next, not 10, just 5 years? What practical partnerships could literally get us to leapfrog?
Okay, thank you, moderator. Directly, I think we should more the investors in collaboration with the government and private sectors, as well as other stakeholders, development partners, we should focus on improving the digital literacy. Because as the current speaker spoke here, she said that 22% of women have basic digital education. So it means the rest of the population have no idea about digital economy and all that. These people, they might be out of the town and with less access to internet, they can't afford the devices, as well as they know nothing about these digital issues, but yet they can trade, they can innovate, and they can contribute to this digital economic growth. So let's invest into taking care of this digital literacy issue, especially to women. Another issue on the infrastructure sharing. Let's also invest into infrastructure sharing together with government, stakeholders, and private sectors, so as we can address this issue of reliability and the intermittent connections. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mabibi na mabwana, makofi kwa mara nyingine tena to the panel. And as we close, mnakuwa ni wachoyo sana wa makofi, mko wachache, lakini I do believe we're still a mighty army. Thank you very much. Miss Nila naongeza kabisa pale na naongoza na makofi ya kibabe. Ladies and gentlemen, as we close, I just want us to be clear, hata kama tuko wachache, kwa udogo wetu, let us be clear. I do understand that there's a camera recording. So to the camera, we just want to be clear, women entrepreneurs are not waiting to be included in Tanzania's digital economy. They are already building it. The question before us is not about intention, it is about alignment. Will all or will our capital systems recognize real growth because we show real growth? Will our policies reflect actual labor markets because we drive them? Will our procurement reward innovation where it already exists because it does? You don't have to look externally, it exists in the countries and women are building platforms. Will our infrastructure investments follow economic reality? It's in the hands of women across the country. Vision 2050 is not just a slogan, it's a systems challenge. And we have to have candid conversations about what needs to change. And the systems only change when those in power are ready and proactive and truly radical in saying that let's shift him, because the talent is here. The innovation is visible and the future is already forming. What remains is courage and execution. Let's not arrive at 2030 asking what should we have done differently. Let's arrive at 2050 saying we did it. Mabibi na mabwana, a hand of applause to this incredible panel. We're going to stand kupiga picha yetu ya kibabe over and back to the incredible MC. Jamani, kama hamtaki kuwapigia panelists wangu makofi, nitawapigia na kila ge.
Thank you so much, Khalila. That was very powerful and insightful. Jamani, tuwapigie tena makofi mengi sana. Khalila na panelisti, tunawashukuru sana kwa discussion yenu yenye kuelimisha, kwa kweli inayochochea mjadala muhimu sana ambao inasaidia uelewa mzuri kuhusu changamoto na fursa zilizopo zinazowakabili wajasiriamali wanawake katika uchumi wa kidijitali. Najua muda umekwisha, the venue is almost half. Now I would like to welcome the last presenter for the day, Vanessa Kisowile, founder and CEO of She Fund, presenting perspective of women and youth in digital innovation and entrepreneurship. Karibu sana, Vanessa. A round of applause for Vanessa Kisowile, please. I know it's too late. Thank you.
Asante sana. Good evening, everybody. Jamani, I know tumechelewa. I will most definitely not take your time. Okay? So, and especially after this high-level conversation, it was amazing. It has my head cracking. So I'm going to be very soft because I'm closing up, okay? Are we good? Au tufanye mazoezi kidogo? We're good, huh? Perfect. Okay, so my name is Vanessa Kisowile. I'm the CEO and founder of She Found, which is a venture studio supporting women entrepreneurs. Started in Tanzania, and we are slowly moving to other regions in Africa. And today I'm supposed to give a perspective of women and youth in digital innovation and entrepreneurship in Tanzania. But I'm gonna start a little bit more softer than that. You see, as much as I'm grateful for this opportunity, I believe we're not gathered here today because Tanzania lacks ideas. As a matter of fact, it's a proven point all throughout today that Tanzania, even women in Tanzania, don't lack ideas. And being a person of faith, there is a statement that is being said that as a man thinketh, so is he. So as the way our population thinks, so is Tanzania. So we have had a proof that Tanzania has a variety, a richness of ideas, and not just ideas, but workable ideas. What do we have to do now? What we're here for is to decide what we will do with the people that do have the ideas. This conversation about women, digital innovation, entrepreneurship is not a side conversation. As a matter of fact, it's a main conversation because the future of the economy of Tanzania will not be built primarily by institution or by infrastructure alone, but by people who know how to turn ideas into economy drivers. You see, when we speak of innovation and entrepreneurship, it's not just about the technology and the infrastructure, it's the people. Now, before I go further, let me tell us why we're having the conversation we're having today, why we're having conversation about women in ICT and even entrepreneurship. Tanzania, like many other African countries, is standing at a generational crossroads, whether we accept it or not. It is generational crossroads in entrepreneurship, in technologies. Technologies are moving faster than we can keep up with, even in governance. You see, every time I'm being tempted to say praise. Anyway, so bear with me if that comes out. Okay? We're living in a time where demographics are shifting faster than policy cycles. Technology is moving faster than regulation. Young people are adapting faster than systems, and our thinking are moving faster parallel to the innovation movement, but our internal systems have yet to catch up. So this is the reality we have. At the same time, women continue to be among the most economically active contributors to our economies, particularly through MSMEs, and now in the informal sector. Digitalization has just done a massive shift and supporting women in entrepreneurship. We see in agriculture, we see in security, we see in services. Yet despite this reality, women and youth are still too often framed as beneficiaries of development other than drivers of growth. And I think that is where our problem is. Now, this is a lesson that, as she found, being our 8th year now, we've had to learn that we change our mindset as the women that we work with. We've worked with over 5,000 women, that instead of giving them a mindset as though they are beneficiaries of the systems we put in place, of the help we're offering, we have given them a mindset that they are the force that are powering our existence. And I believe that even as a nation, that is the mindset that we need to shift, even in our systems, that would govern our decision making. When we have an understanding that this group is the force that drives the growth. So I want us today to shift the lens. Now, before I go further, what must we clearly define? I had an amazing experience a couple of weeks ago. I was having a conversation with someone I really respect, I really honor. And we just were having a conversation about startups and why in most of African countries we have these issues with startup policy here, startup policy there. And in the middle of conversation, it just hit me. We don't even have our own clear definition of startup across African territories. So let me just bring some of the perspective in place as per this conversation. What do we mean by digital? When we say digital, we do not simply mean smartphones, social medias, or internet access. Digital means the ability to create, distribute, scale, and exchange value using technology. It is the power to take the idea born in Dar es Salaam, in Mwanza, in Mbeya, in Kinampanda, in the village in Singida, and expand it and make it more viable, visible, and valuable on a global stage. If digital is reduced to consumption, we create users, and I think that is what we have done across, not just in Tanzania, across Africa. But if digital is understood as creation, we build producers, founders, and exporters. And not just exporters of ideas, but exporters of solutions that are viable and tangible. Now, what do we mean by innovation? Innovation is often misunderstood as novelty or disruption for attention. But the truth is, innovation is simpler and more powerful than that. Innovation is the ability to identify real problems, apply intelligence, creativity, technology, and wisdom, and then deliver solutions that work at scale. This is what innovation is. Now, women and young people are the closest to today's problems. Now, I will say that it's been for a long time, but maybe we are coming to that realization that they're the closest to today's problems: the cost of living, access of markets, education gaps, healthcare, mobility, climate realities, and social cultural realities. So who are the better people to speak with and to speak of innovation other than this particular group? Then what do you mean by technology? Technology is not a replacement of human capacity. It's a multiplier. We've had conversations on the fear of AI and all of that. And I'm like, I'm not sure we should be that afraid. Well, we still should, but technology is meant to be a multiplier. Strong ideas have the ability to travel faster through technology, and that is the advantage we should take. Weak systems are exposed faster through technology. So instead, as a community, as an ecosystem, as a nation, I believe we are presented with a very good opportunity to expose our systems through technology if genuinely are working, and especially if are working in this current generation. Technology amplifies whatever we already have. That is why the real question is not whether technology is good or bad, but whether we are intentional enough to govern it wisely. Technology as a tool can be directed. In itself, it's natural. It can, although, widen inequality, or it can close it. It can distract a generation, or it can educate it. It can extract value, or it can create it. The solution is not to fear. The solution is to design. Please let us keep in mind this. The solution is to design, educate, and policy and systems alignment. We must not throw away the future because of perceived risks. We must manage the risks so that we can own our future. Lastly, I want to talk about national building, the concept of national building and how it cannot be separated from women and youth. Now, I know it's Women's Day. It is impossible to speak about national building without speaking about women and youth. Africa alone, 60% of the population of Africa is under the age of 25. 40% is under the age of 15. Almost 50% of the whole population are women. So tell me why we're not having or taking this particular reality seriously as far as national building is concerned, which I believe we are. That's why we are here. Women already have a power, a significant share in Tanzania's MSME economy, and we're seeing massive shift as they're being introduced in the digital economy. They trade, they produce, they employ, and they reinvest into families and community, which, as a matter of fact, it's a proven truth or fact that women invest more of their profits back into social impact or things that affect directly the society. So with that, on the other hand, this means if women and youth are excluded, underskilled, and under-leveraged, the nation pays the price. But if they're equipped, empowered, enabled, the nation multiplies its growth and potential. Nation building is not concrete still alone. It's capacity, creativity, and alignment. Now, because I was talking about nation building, and I know you've heard a lot of numbers, so I'm just going to go through a little bit so I can come and conclude my argument with you today. Women and youth represent the largest and top drivers of digital innovation and inclusive growth in Tanzania and across Africa. With the rising of connectivity, mobile-first adoption, and young population, digital innovation presents a multi-billion dollar opportunity if structural barriers are addressed. Now, I'm honestly not here to repeat what has been said, but give me the privilege to just point out a few things that some we have learned as we've worked with women across through She Found and in partnership with many partners, and some we have learned from the women we work with, from the partners we work with, and from the territories that we have engaged. Now, in Tanzania alone, we have a market opportunity that cannot be denied. We have a large youth population with growing digital adoption. A reality where youth have their own universe in the digital world. But the question is, how are we tapping on that? What are we paying attention to in this particular aspect? We have a situation, let me call it a situation, of underrepresented women in technology, where there's only less than 25%. I can't even start talking about funding for women who are in tech or are doing tech-based or tech-driven initiatives and enterprises and building enterprises. We also have at the same time, we have rapid growth of mobile money, e-commerce, agri-tech, and digital services. and informal sector digitalization potential, but it's a potential that we are not able to maximize yet. So what do women and youth need that we need to do now? Number one, digital literacy and advanced tech skills. Current tech skills, allow me to correct that and be very precise. Affordable internet, devices, and power. So companies that invest in sustainable power, sustainable internet access, and affordable. Access to startup capital and alternative financing. I love what CRDB was saying. We need more of scaling in that. Mentorship, role models, and innovation networks. And I believe here we don't need just internal networks. From our experience, we need women and youth more exposed to global networks. So exploring global partnership around ecosystems, technology and innovation ecosystems. And lastly, market access and formalization support. Now, I have many recommendations here, and they have told me that I only have 5 minutes. So then I'll just conclude. Since I have said that all, we need to understand generational dynamics that we're in. We are currently managing a speed gap. The generation that we are currently in lives in a fast-paced, highly adaptive reality. They learn quickly, experiment openly, and expect access to opportunity rather than permission to exist. How do we navigate or adapt this new dynamic? When systems move slowly in a fast world, when ecosystem players, incubators, accelerators, even policymakers are not able to catch up with the innovation and the demand that is currently in, what happens? Frustration grows, ideas are dwindled, and potential is stopped. When education does not match up the market reality, skills go unused. And then our institutions, our ecosystems lose a massive potential. So we have to adapt, not abandon, but adapt relevance and responsiveness. What this reality demands from us is upskilling and reskilling, supporting enterprise at every level. So our systems and our ecosystem should work as a shared assignment. And we should also have ecosystem thinking. We've had the opportunity to learn this from Finland, from Norway, and now even from Nigeria. Today's entrepreneurs are locally rooted but globally exposed. Every system we design must ask, can this compete globally while serving local realities? SheFound exists to bridge this gap, connecting Tanzanian women and youth to not just skills and networks, internally and capital pathways, but to give them global relevance. We're currently exploring getting Tanzanian women exporters exporting what is needed in Nigeria. And this is what innovation is about. Now, this is my word to my women. There's a difference between resilience and stubbornness. Resilience adapts. Stubbornness rejects reality. So what do we need really to adapt? Skills, networks, and value relentlessly. But global networks are extremely important. Opportunities adore, but our ideas, our skills, our execution systems are important. I'll give these two mental models for this moment. There are two concepts, the ego in the storm, and this is what we're experiencing at the moment, and the reindeer in winter. Egos do not run from storms, but instead they rise into them and they hunt during storms. It is a proven fact that major gigantic businesses and even innovations are birthed in stormy times. Now, it's not just in Tanzania, it's not just in Africa. Across the world, we see that we're in the middle of economic storms and even technological storms. And so, as an ecosystem, as a nation, as a country, as a people, it is important that we identify our egos and provide them with everything they need to be strong, to be the wind that lifts them higher. History teaches us that many world's greatest companies were born in these times. Africa currently is in a storm: economic pressure, youth unemployment, gender inequality, rapid digital disruption. But Africa also holds a unique advantage. We have always caught up. The reindeer in the winter, on the other hand, so in fact, we cannot cage the ego because we fear its strength. So the reindeer in the winter is that reindeer survives harsh winters, not by speed, but by preparation. So one of the things as an ecosystem we're called to do is to build systems that will prepare women-led businesses and innovations that will become a solution to prepare us to the next phase of our development. They grow thicker poles before the cold comes, they migrate strategically, and they adapt their behavior to the season. So whether it is the women entrepreneurs or the players or the nation in terms of governance, we are to adapt in the season and prepare for the winter. For women and youth, winter looks like limited access to capital, skills mismatch, and regulatory barriers, and market access challenges. Survival and success requires adaptability, foresight, and support system, which as an ecosystem, we can work together to ensure that women entrepreneurs and even innovators get this. So to conclude, digital economy is not coming, really. We all know it is here. And that's why we're talking about 2050 vision, 2030 plans. The only question is who will be equipping, will we be equipping, and who will be equipped to survive, to participate, and to lead. Lastly is to remember that women are not beneficiaries, but they are the architect of the next economic chapter. So let's design with speed, inclusion, and courage. Ecosystem players, let's coordinate, invest early, and think beyond silos. To women and youth, prepare like a reindeer, rise like eagles, and build value that no gatekeeper, whether it is technology, whether it is systems, in whatever manner, whether it is language, can ignore, that you can take on a global stage. SheFound stands ready as a strategic partner to bridging every one of this, and we're looking forward to working with each and every one of you. The future of Tanzania's digital economy is already among us, and the choice before us is whether we are fully willing to participate and we are active in it. Thank you.
Asante sana, Vanessa, for the very insightful session. Jamani, nafikiri tumefika mwisho wa session yetu ya leo. But before we end, obviously what has been an incredible first day, it has been. Na we witnessed official opening of Taiki 2026 Vision 2050 edition by our guest of honor, Angela Jasmine Kairuki, Minister of Communication and Information Technology. I have a couple of announcements before we end our day. Obviously, it's about housekeeping reminders. Please remember to download and update the Summit Point app to access the full program, presentation, and speaker information. Obviously, tomorrow the session will begin at 8 o'clock. Please be on time, come early. For those joining us virtually, the live streaming will continue tomorrow on our YouTube channel. As we leave today, I encourage you to reflect on the insight, gains, and the connection we made. Let's carry this energy into day 2 as we continue shaping Tanzania's digital future. Asanteni sana. Now I would like to welcome the Director General of ICT Commission for official closing ceremony. Karibu sana, DG.
Thank you very much. What's a day that we had today? Like the way Mr. Tumaini said, it has been very special for Women in ICT Day to be privileged enough to have a Minister of Communication and IT to officiate this conference. We have been having these special days for women in ICT and youth in ICT as a side event before the actual conference. But I think everyone can agree with me, today has been a very special day. Today has been actually the first day of this conference. Women in ICT is no more a sideshow, but is a main event of the TAIC. So TAIC has evolved very much. We had a number of panels and presentation today, and we had a lot of important things which are of value to women to participate fully in the plan that we have for Vision 2050, so that we can have, or we can reach the goal of $1 trillion economy inclusively, so that we can include everyone. We have discussed about women empowerment initiatives in the digital economy of Tanzania, which is very crucial. Women entrepreneurs and digital economy. We get the perspective of women and youth in digital innovation and entrepreneurship from one of our own, Vanessa Kisowile. She is a woman that is doing a lot of things, and she has been able also to conquer the market in Nigeria. So she's doing very fine, to say the truth. We have a number of presenters. One event which is new in the Women in ICT Day is a roundtable of Digital Kilimo Roundtable. This has been a new initiative, and I think it's very successful. Because if you look at the contribution or sectoral contribution to the GDP of our country, agriculture is the one that is leading all the time. It's a sector that employs a lot of people, and it's a sector that contributes a lot. Going forward, it is important to be discussing about kilimo or agriculture and seeing how digital is going to give an impetus for us to reach the level of economy that we have set ourselves a goal on. We have number of moderators, and if you look at the content of the moderation of this session today of Women in ICT, I think you'll attest to me that almost 98% of the content is led by women, which is very, very good. And the quality of discussion is of very high level. So we think, or we know that we have achieved a lot today. We are going to summarize all the discussions. We have a rapporteurs in here, they are taking notes. And we are going to have a lot of good recommendation, success stories, like the way we've seen it from one of our own, a Tanzanian who has a startup or a company in Uganda, and she's eager to expand also in Tanzania and impressing everyone to know that these things can be done and to be a very good example to other women. ICT as a sector has many, many opportunities. That is no question about that. We need to see more role models like the one that we have seen them today, so that to inspire others, so that they will be able to take this advantage, so that the slice of $1 trillion will be occupied by hardworking women that they use innovation to do their business. So this is a wrap up of today. Tomorrow we have youth in ICT. When we talk about youth in ICT, of course, there are boys and girls, they are there. So we expect everyone who came today, they'll come tomorrow. We have a big agenda tomorrow to discuss, and these things are very important. The reason why we say that it's important to have Women in ICT Day and Youth Day is because youth of the age between 15 to 34, they are almost 21 million. So it's a bigger group. They are tech savvy. They consume platforms. And this is a group that we know that it will make our economy competitive. And they are able to innovate, and they have energy to innovate. So tomorrow is going to be another exciting day. I urge everyone to come. And for those who are listening online, tomorrow is free to public, so anyone can just come and we can discuss together. So with these few words, I thank everyone for being patient enough to be in this beautiful hall up to this time. And we're looking forward to see you tomorrow morning at 8. Thank you very much.
A round of applause to our Director General, please. Tumpigie makofi mengi mkurugenzi wetu kwa kufanya mambo makubwa. Basi kwa hayo tunawashukuru sana. Travel safely, rest well, and look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Asanteni sana, thank you so much, and goodbye.